All right, happy Sunday. It is Sunday, October 16th. If you're watching on YouTube, of course, timestamps will be in the description for your reading, sun, moon, or rising, excuse me, with the earth signs, air signs, water signs, and fire signs. So you can skip this part or you can watch the collective reading coming up as well. Hey guys, so what's going on? Excuse me. Ooh, water time. How's everybody doing today? Hi, Brandon. Are the promo codes only for the merch or also for the Reiki class? Okay, so if you're referring to the email I sent, the mailing list email I sent, so that one's just for the merch store. If you're newly signed up to the the mailing list and you got the win-win. Oh, I just gave it away. Oh well. If you're newly signed up to the mailing list, there is a code you get that's a one-time use for readings and classes. If you sign up for a membership, which just launched, that has promo codes for both merch and for readings and classes. So you'll be able to get all of those depending on what you signed up for and what you just talked to. I am just starting. I just jumped on it. Hey, 200 people. That is a big start. How's it going, everybody? How is everybody doing today? So I'm just going to chat with everyone for just a second more, and we are going to dive into the readings we're doing today in just a minute here for sure. Hey, hippie witch mama bear. Okay, good morning, baby doll. Good morning, Cash Plus Chloe. How is it? Yeah, I just talked to you. How's it going? I hope your day's been amazing too. I get up and I channel messages for the live is how my Sunday mornings go. So it's been good. I do love that work. So we're going to jump into the collective reading for everyone in just a second, but they, for some reason, want me to hang out just 1 second longer with everybody before we jump into it. I am starting to feel better. Thanks to Cool Party Goal. Yeah, I was feeling sick all week, so I just started feeling better like yesterday. And maybe the day before, but I'm finally feeling a little bit more back to normal. Okay, so we're going to jump into the collective reading. So this is going to be, if you're watching on YouTube later, it's for you when you see it. It's timeless. And of course, if you're here live, it's for you now. Because otherwise, why would you be here? But you're welcome, Leo Diaz. I hope that answered that for you. And we can definitely delve more into those questions at the end of the live too. So the first message that came through for the collective here, for everybody here, they showed me a rocket ship. The message was, and they want me to just take 1 second before I delve into this message, so I think they either had a correction or they want to do something else. So give me 1 second here. The way they want me to clarify this is there's a lot launching soon, but it's different than what you expect. So I'll go through the examples here, whether it's a new direction, a new relationship, if you're single, probably. Like, they gave me like the word new 5 times. I feel like that's been a theme just since the equinox, the autumn equinox essentially, or just maybe even before, just like this theme of like new things coming in, especially over the next year. But the main message is that there's a lot launching, there's a lot of new coming in. So new endeavors, new beginnings, new relationships, work changes. The other thing is like, another message that came through with this that was on a different vein was like just cosmically, which I think they were leaning astrologically with that, but I'll double check. They said, we are in a big change. There's a whole lot going on cosmically that's going to change a lot, as you might imagine. I mean, there's the eclipses coming up. And even just beyond that, it's just like in the energy, I just feel like change. I feel like people have been talking about change forever now, but I just feel like it's especially there right now. It's just like interwoven into, well, what's the best way for me to say this? It's just going to happen. No matter what, especially over the next year, are just like major changes. And I know I might have been saying that for a while, and people might have been saying that for a while, but that's just going to be going. So next message here, let's see here. What else do they want to see about the launching thing? Fully fast, good here. One of the main things they want to say about that is new direction as well, especially after the eclipses. But I would just be paying attention for things launching in your life, or whether it's you doing it or someone else doing it. The next message here, I feel like we're just in this era, and that's why this is a message that I get a lot right now. It's just big upshift. I know that's been just one of the themes that's kind of just come up a lot in the collective readings the past few weeks I've been doing this, but they kind of clarified it and said we are in an upshift era that can be really smooth and high vibe, or it can be uncomfortable and be something that steps us out of a comfort zone, and it can challenge us to grow depending on who we are and what we need. Life is going to be asking you to grow around this time period. So a couple messages in there. One, we are just in an era where things upshift, where it's up leveling in your life, or you're looking to upshift things in your life, whether it's a business or you personally, your vibration or something like that. The other message I wanted to get into here, what else is important for me to get to, because it's kind of a side message, is life is asking us to grow around this time period. There was like one particular sign, I believe, or actually no, it was for the general collective as well, which is like life is stretching us right now. And I'll get to that message now. They showed me like our good friend giraffe, but in this particular instance, they showed this giraffe's neck like stretching like up into the clouds, and life like stretching us, essentially, people right now. And so you might be like stretched, asked to grow, asked to go beyond your capacity, not like beyond your capacity, but like push the limits that you think are there, and maybe you're ready to go beyond that. The other thing with that message was this message of almost there, like there's a big up level happening for everyone. And when I'm talking about that, it could be different for each person tuning in. Like, like for one person, it could be they're about to hit a new level in their business. For another, they're about to hit a new level spiritually. For another, it could be a relationship, and for, it could be all of it, for some of you as well. It could be your level in life, your personal level, your personal vibration. There's a lot of different things that could be talked about with that. But the other message with this was like almost there, because it's giraffe's neck like stretched up to the clouds. And then it was like almost at this point where it was like through the cloud, and it could kind of peek up through the cloud. It's really interesting because in this visual now, the way they're taking it, it was almost like he was looking up at like there's that stereotype. It was maybe more of a joke, but there might be a message in there. I'm gonna check in as we're going through this, but it was like kind of God sitting on his throne. The other thing they showed me just now is like the emperor sitting on a throne, like from the give me 1 second here. Tarot card, essentially. That's a message that's going to come through in a little bit, so they don't want me to focus on that. But I feel like in the next month or so, and I know it's going to be a little stretchy on that time because it's general, but it's like you're going to be there, or you're going to be shifted to there, or the next few months, if that makes sense. And then you'll probably be up leveling from there. But that's just another message that was coming through in general for everybody here. But you're going to be asked to grow. That's another one of the main messages I have for you. The next thing they showed me was like a vine, and it was a message about entanglement. So I'll read the message and then I'll see what else they want to add in. They said, do not stay entangled with things that are toxic or holding you back. This is a good time to head towards freedom instead of toxic entanglement. Don't get wrapped up in things you know aren't good for you. Just a reminder, don't get entangled in people's opinions and beliefs that aren't true for you. The other thing they wanted me to clarify here is like when you're moving towards freedom, like that can still involve other people, by the way. It doesn't mean like leave your wife and kids and go live in a jungle, and be a hermit or something. It's just like look at where you might be entangling yourself unnecessarily or tying yourself down when it's not for the highest good or you don't need to. It's kind of that message. And freedom is a theme right now. I did have a whole like 30-minute channeled message or channel that I did. Like, if you've been tuning into these lives, at the end of the lives, I typically do just a full channel mode message or, direct channeling session for everybody. I did like a 30-minute one of those, like just specifically for YouTube that I just posted yesterday, or that just went up yesterday. So you can check that out as well if you'd like to manifest more freedom for yourself or just see what comes through if you like the channel messages. But that is a theme in the next few years, is like your freedom. How are you freeing yourself? How are you moving towards it and manifesting that? Because that does also like just free up the collective, or it opens doors of freedom for other people as well. I don't think they like the direction I just took it for the past 2 lines. So give me 1 second to see what they want me to say on it here. Just know that freedom is a theme and you're going to be asked to move towards it in your life. And by asked, I don't know if anyone's literally going to be knocking on your door and asking you to move towards freedom, but it might be a calling in your soul and you might be guided towards it, if you're intuitive, if you work with your spirit guides, etc., is what I'd say on that one. But the more you're moving towards freedom, the better things will be. And again, that's going to mean different things to different people, but that's the message, that frequency of freedom, whether it's financial freedom or freedom of time or whatever feels best to you. So anything else on that with the entanglement message here? What I'm hearing is like there might be people trying to entangle you in their opinions, or they want you to see things in the same ways as them. So they want you to see things in the same ways as them. Or they might be like, if there's anyone that, you don't have to force it to fit if it's not fitting, but if there's anyone that you feel like is trying to like tie you down or like keep you from moving forward, it's time to just kind of extricate yourself from that. You can still keep these people in your life from a distance, but you also don't have to, what's the best way to say this? You don't have to play their game or let them tie you down or be beholden to them when you don't need to be, is kind of the message if you need that reminder. The good news next. I know we had like last week, I believe there's a whole message about abundance and like this golden path and stuff. It was kind of similar. It was a little bit different. And there's a few messages I think I'll need to clarify. They said gold, they gave me the word abundance. They said growth through change. They said make changes that lead to abundance and you will succeed. So what does that mean if I were to clarify that? So let's say you have a certain job or career and it pays $50,000 a year, for example. It's kind of a reminder of, you don't have to stay stagnant. It's like maybe you have an opportunity to move up in the company. This is an example, by the way, to get like $70,000 a year, or to hop companies and make $80,000 a year or something. The message is really just don't stay stuck, make moves that lead to abundance, and it's going to lead to, you will succeed, essentially, is the reminder for right now, whenever you're seeing this. I just keep that in mind going forward. There were just a lot of precious metals that they used in this reading for you guys, for this general collective as well, which I thought was interesting. The next thing, they gave me the word silver. They said, you are precious and worthwhile. You are not meant to be someone who is stuck with things that don't serve you. It was a reminder to own your value, and it kind of is tying in a few different messages from earlier as well. They said, grow and start asking for more from life and from others where appropriate. This is a message that you are worthy and you deserve abundance and not lack. Even if you don't feel like abundance is your experience right now, trust that you can move towards it. So the message I get is it's time to own your value. It's time to ask for more from people around you and from life. And that's pretty much the message, essentially. So even when you're manifesting, like, ask for more. Thank you. I just had a coffee delivery. So what else is the message there? The message, like, what I hear is some of you don't value yourselves. Some of you think you're not worthy, and so, for some of you it's deep, it's unconscious, it's entangled with other people's beliefs and how other people see themselves, and you're picking up on it. Or you see other people who don't have things and you're like, oh, they don't have this, so how can I? Things like that. It's time to extricate yourself from those entangled beliefs and own your value and move towards abundance, essentially. There was a message I just remembered they gave me to deliver for you guys during the collective message, but they want me to save it to the end, so I'll save it for the end. And so just to summarize that last message, own your value is pretty much what I got. So the next one is really interesting. They showed me a parakeet. There was kind of a dual message with this, I want to say. There was just kind of a random message they jumped in of like, hey, heed any warning signs that show up and they will guide you well. So what do I mean by that? Like a sign or synchronicity. For me, you might have, if you followed my life, you might have heard me say this a bajillion times, but like a crow cawing is like that's my heads up. That's my warning sign, essentially. So if I go to send a text or do an email, and then as I start typing a certain phrase, a crow starts cawing, I'm like, okay, nope, I need to rethink this or just come back to this later. Or if I have an idea to do something and a crow caws, I'm like, okay, I know that's not a good idea. And even if there's not a physical crow around, my guides have done that with like, an etheric crow, where it's like, I'll go to do something or I'll think about doing something, and then I'll have like a crow like cawing at me and land on my shoulder and tell me, no, that's not a good idea, do this instead, or something like that. So if you have anything honed in with the universe like that as a sign, just heed the warning, essentially. I also just get a message. There's a lot of warnings coming in right now for a lot of different people, which is interesting. So why is that important? Why do you guys need to know about it here? For some reason, I'm getting a message, and it's not a common message. It's like we are kind of in a time where certain things can potentially go awry. They're just saying, like, you know, keep your head on your shoulders and you'll be fine. Like, there is a lot of divine protection for this crowd. It's the message is like, you know, don't be stupid and you'll be fine. And what do I mean by don't be stupid? It'd be like, for example, like, and I know I need to like clarify this. If a Nigerian king emails you asking for your bank account information, like, don't give your bank account information. That's what I mean. One thing I did realize recently in a recent conversation is like, you know, sometimes people are like, they just moved to the United States. There's a language barrier. They don't speak English well. They aren't as familiar with some of the scams, so they might be more susceptible. It's something I just kind of gained more awareness on recently, and I definitely have a lot of empathy for it. But for those of you who know what I'm talking about, it's just follow your intuition and don't be stupid and you'll be fine, essentially. Do your best. There is more with parakeets. So what's the message with parakeet on this one here? Usually when parakeet shows up, because I know parakeet, if I remember correctly, it's kind of like I don't want to say it's an average bird because I think it's pretty colorful. I don't remember very well. But one of the messages that often comes through when parakeet shows up is a message of like not average or not normal. And usually when it comes through in a one-on-one reading for someone, and, you know, sometimes if you've been following my work, you know, like I could get elephant 10 times in 10 different readings and it means 10 different things the message spirit brings through. But it's usually when parakeet comes through, it's about someone being above average or like, you know, unique or just not cut out for like the mundane or the normal. Are a few different ways it's come through. It's just kind of saying like, hey, you guys are not normal, so don't expect normal, if that makes sense. But that's a good thing. Because I don't really feel like you want to be normal either, if that makes sense. I think sometimes there's like an appeal to things that seem normal. Or maybe, what's the best way to say this? Like maybe it's kind of glorified. But the message I hear is like, trust us, you want to be yourself, is kind of what I'm hearing it said, if that makes sense, if that's important for anyone as a reminder. We already kind of got to the being stretched message. The one thing I want to clarify on that is like, it's not torture necessarily, or it's not meant to torture you. It's just meant to grow you if you feel like you're being stretched right now. And I don't feel like it even will be torturous. I feel like it actually can be fun if you're willing to grow right now. If you're on a growth trajectory, if you're working on yourself or want to expand in life and you're willing to take those steps, things are going to be a lot more fun for you, is what I'd say, than someone who wants to stay contracted, if that makes sense. So I feel like it's okay if you feel like you're more contracted or in like a contracted state right now. And by contracted, I kind of mean like a contracted state could look at something more like fear or anxiety or constant worry or just like if that makes sense. So I really, if you feel like you're there, I'd say like I would just be willing to grow and you'll be okay. So the next message I have for you guys, platinum was the word they gave me. They said, you are worthy of more than you realize in other people's eyes and in the universe's eyes. You are infinitely worthy. I just feel like some of you might need the reminder that you're worthy, if that makes sense. And I do get there are things coming in to show you that you are worthy that maybe you haven't had before. Because I think it's one thing to hear like a reader on here or YouTube or something go, you are worthy, you are worthy, you are worthy. And it's another to see like, and I think that can be concrete evidence and that can be something that maybe that's all you need to hear and you're like, it clicks, you're like, okay, perfect, let's go. Or maybe, you know, you just still haven't seen the things in your physical life to back that up and you're like, am I though? Like my mom still yelled at me when I was 5 or I don't know, something like that. I'm being a little bit silly with that part, but you know what I mean. A lot of you are going to have concrete evidence like you're worthy of like success, of big things, like people telling you, people being healthier towards you, something I'm getting as well. So if you've been working on yourself and that's starting to manifest, kudos is what I'd say. More of that is on the way, which is good. The message they wanted me to give you guys as well, in addition to what I had channeled down ahead of time, they showed me a frog, and I was kind of sitting, I was looking in the mirror, I was kind of just fixing my hair and bedhead and beard a little bit before I jumped on the live. And they showed me this frog, and they're like, okay, that's one of the main themes for this collective reading. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And like, usually when frogs show up in a reading, it's about a leap of faith, because, you know, frogs leap and, you know, all that stuff. But the message they said is like, you know, people really need to get moving right now. Like, people need to take action. They need to move forward. They need to manifest their dreams. And by manifest your dreams, I mean, yes, manifest it and I guess plan, but also like take action towards it, or like try things. Like, if you're not doing anything, and you haven't been doing anything, but you've been wanting to do things, now, like, is the primo time to take action, essentially. So I'd say the message with the frog and what they wanted to say with that is get moving. It's like important that you're moving towards something, even if it's just like healthiness, like a healthy relationship or being healthy. Like, it could be whatever works for you that you want to move towards, whether it's small or it's big, whether it's having a happy family or growing a $1 billion business. Really depends on who you are and where you're at, but I feel like that's going to be good for you. I also just hear now is a time of action. It's like action is really supported. I think like in the past, maybe some things have been delayed, or maybe people were telling you to take action and you would, but maybe you didn't see results. But I feel like now is a time of action and results, and over the next year especially is something I'm getting. So I'd be moving is something I get as well. There is more with that frog though too. It's an interesting message. It almost seems contradictory to what I just said, but they're clarifying it's not contradictory, because it's almost about positioning. Because the other thing they're showing me is like, you know, let me see if they want me to just give me 1 second to make sure I really get this right for you guys, and what would be helpful for you guys for that. It's good here. In this visual, this frog is like, he has the perfect position on this pond. He's taken the action to position himself where the bugs are, so that he doesn't have to do as much in the future, or at least for the foreseeable future. Like, he has all the bugs around him. He can just sit and just flick his tongue out and catch bugs is kind of the message. It's kind of another message to like take action to where they're kind of redirecting me a little bit. So I'm sorry. Give me 1 second to make sure I'm getting this right for you guys. I don't want to spout anything not good for you guys. So what's up? It's about positioning yourself to achieve your dreams and taking action to position yourself to achieve your dreams. That's what they're trying to get me to say, if that makes sense. Because once the frog is positioned, like, he has the bugs around him, he's good, he can sit on his lily pad and flip his tongue out and catch bugs and stuff. So what can you do to position yourself better? And the other example they're showing me is like a spider with its web, where it's like a spider positions itself in its web and takes action to build the web, whatever that means. And then like the bugs fly by and he catches the bug. So what can you do to position yourself to, I don't like the word capture necessarily, but capture what you need to capture, achieve what you need to achieve. And like, are you in the position to do so? And if not, what you do need to do to be in that position, if that makes sense. And that they're like that's what they're trying to get me to say. So I hope that makes more sense and is more helpful for you guys in that one. The next thing they're showing me is a dragonfly. And so what is the message with the dragonfly showing up here for you guys here? Fully for that, it's good here. It's a really interesting visual. It's not bad, so I don't want you guys to freak out when I give this message, but you know how certain bugs are like pins onto boards? Like, there's pin boards, and you know, like, people either like pin them and like display them or like dissect them. They're kind of showing me also like that, how I think like for frogs or things in science class, you'd like pin. I hated dissecting animals, but that's besides the point. I don't hate dissecting things intellectually or channeled wise, but physically dissecting living beings is not, I don't like it. Anyways, side message. But they're almost showing you, and it's not a bad thing, but being like pinned to this like board, like a dragonfly would be. And it's like the universe is kind of like surgically operating on you in a way, or like dissecting you. And it's kind of like changing how you operate. So if a dragonfly were to become a completely, what's the best way for me to say this here? If the dragonfly were to morph into something completely different, like let's say evolution took it a step further and dragonflies had 6 wings and could grant wishes or something like that. That's the silly example I'm hearing. It's almost like that's you. And it's like you're under, a lot of people are under this operation to like go further, to become something else entirely, like even beyond what you think is possible. And that does lean itself towards results in life. And being someone who gets results in life that are beyond what some people think is possible. And it's totally possible for you is what I'm hearing, but you're like undergoing the metaphorical or energetic, or however you want to phrase this, spiritual surgery or redeveloping to get there. And I feel like it's deep, like they're saying like on a soul level or something like that. And you're still going to be you and who you are meant to be. It's like an enhanced version of you. And that's part of what these eclipses coming up, are about for all of you, for this crowd. If you're seeing this in the future on YouTube, it's going to be either happening now when you see it, or a few months out, a few weeks to a couple months out from whenever you're seeing it. It's just going to be around that time frame is what I'm getting. But if you're here now, it's going to be around the time of the eclipses. And it's like part of what the eclipses are doing. And it might be a time frame that stretches beyond the eclipses, because it's when it's a deep change and impact like that, it's not always instant. They're giving me the example of like a Reiki attunement. So if you're not familiar, when you get a Reiki attunement, there's like a 21-day healing crisis is what it's called. And it's kind of like you're up-leveling, you're upshifting, you're purging, you're releasing. It's all for the highest good. It's all divinely guided, you could say. And it's to raise your frequency and get you more in alignment with who and what you truly are, with your soul, with spirit, with true submissive and its source. So for a couple of different reasons. One, so you're a pure conduit of the Reiki energy when you're facilitating sessions. There's a couple other reasons. And the other purpose, of course, is it puts like Reiki on speed dial, is the way it was taught to me. It's like, it just much more easy access to that energy, or it's like automatic access to that energy. Maybe not the perfect explanation in the heat of the moment that I just gave, but similar. And the other thing with the Reiki attunements, however, is like it can all happen all at once in that 21 days, and then it's like shifted and it's complete. And for more common, I don't know how much more common I have to sit with it, but what can also happen is like, yes, you have the 21-day healing period, but then you're still shifting over like years, like over time. And there's more that's enveloping and unveiling and happening from that attunement over the next like while, as opposed to just the 21 days. And it's kind of like that, like you undergo the eclipses and you have, maybe there's a shock to the system as well, because it's showing a shock to the system for some reason regarding the eclipses, whether it's an outward change or a realization or something. They are showing me the tower as well, like from tarot. For some of you, it might not be as welcome. For others, it's just a realization or aha moment. It's going to be different. It's going to be what's for the highest good for each of you is what I'd say. But there might be just certain shocking things unveiled in this next time period over the next like month or two, even to the next year. I don't know why so many of these readings scale out to like a year, but they do. So I'm just going to roll with what they're saying. But there might just be certain shocks to the system coming up that are like part of this process. Even if it seems outward, it's like something that's changing you and for the highest good, rewiring certain things. Only for the highest good, of course. All these messages are for the highest good. That's the intention. But okay, let me recollect and summarize where this was all going fully for the highest good here. There's going to be a lot of change with that surgery now and with these eclipses, but it might play out over like the next while because it's kind of a big message when it's like going that much further, if that makes sense, and up-leveling that much. A lot of you actually are on the cusp of it already. You've been going through that work, and this is going to be the finalization. For others of you, it's like the kickoff. So everyone's in different places, but everyone's kind of going beyond what's possible, or what's conceived of as possible by most people, even in the spiritual community. And that's kind of what this next phase is about, is unveiling higher possibility for humanity. and for this crowd, I suppose you could say. That's one of the themes for the eclipses for everyone, besides or in addition to the major rewiring that's happening. But that's it for the collective reading. Hope that was helpful for everyone and good. We're going to move to the fire signs next. I'm going to give myself 1 second for coffee and water, but I hope that was helpful, resonated, made sense. Give me 1 second here. Okay, we're jumping right into the fire signs. So, fully for that is good. If you have a fire sign, sun, moon, or rising, it's for you when you see it. And I did not unmirror it yet. So there we go. So if you have a fire sign, sun, moon, or rising, it's for you when you see it. And I have channel messages here. And my spirit guides, angels, and source will bring through any additional information that's for your highest good as I do so. An added theme, they want me to add it to the ends, but one of the added themes that they might jump in for this reading is just what's coming up with the eclipses coming up at the end of October here. If you're here live, and if you're here watching after that sometime on YouTube, it'll be just like what major changes are coming up from whenever you see this the next little while here, a couple months or so, 3. So the first message that came through for the fire signs, sun, moon, or rising was they showed me a firework, and they instantly started playing the Katy Perry song about the firework, the Baby You're a Firework song. The message that came through for the fire signs right now is things exploding, and it could be good or it could be either or. They also show me like lava, and we'll get to that in a second because there's kind of a dual message or triple or multifaceted. We'll see. Some of you might, the message is some of you might think things are blowing up in your face. Others of you, will have or are having an explosion of good luck and good fortune or something really cool happening. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag. They also showed me like the volcano and lava like we were talking about. They just said things have been heating up in your life so that they can begin to flow. It was also a message of release. Like you are releasing a lot of things for a lot of you fire signs, a lot of things that maybe you thought you couldn't release or never thought you could release. And the way they were the way it kind of came to me is like rock. If you think of rock, it's like, it seems kind of immovable, like a mountain. But once that rock heats up and becomes lava, it begins to flow, and then the immovable becomes movable. Not that it was literally immovable before, but it's a metaphor. So it's almost like certain things are like flowing and releasing and unblocking for you guys that seems difficult to release in the past, if that makes sense, or to unblock or to have flow with. So that's going to be good. I'm also getting a message of like a loss of rigidity on that vein as well. Some of you have had a lot of rigidity in your life, and you're gonna find that you don't have any anymore is something I'm getting, or there's less, or there's just more flow to you as a person instead of being rigid. And it's kind of like a transformation going on with these eclipses or coming up soon for you, which is really interesting as well. I want to go back to the explosion message though really quickly and just see if they want to clarify it more, because it was a little bit broad the way it came through. It was just kind of like, yeah, things are exploding. It could be good, it could be bad. And sometimes that's the message, but I want to see if they want to go deeper with it. Hopefully if that's good here. They're kind of going back to, I know I talked about this last live, or maybe the last couple lives, like one of the themes for October that came through in the newsletter was like it's a boom month. And boom could be like a big boom where like a big change happens, a big boom where someone drops a truth bomb, a big boom where, you know, a business booms, a big boom where something blows up. It's kind of playing off of that theme. It's a little bit different because I feel like it's just a bit more explosive, as you might imagine with the explosive message. But let's go deeper. What's the message beyond that? Fully for that's good. The thing that these explosions are doing for you guys, and the reason it's a message, is it's moving you forward. It's something that's exploding and moving you forward, whether it's good or bad. It's like something that's hard to explain this visual, but there are certain like video games where it's like you would use an explosion, like your character would jump and then you'd like detonate an explosion and it would just help you like launch further, if that makes sense, whether it's The Legend of Zelda or it's or something else. And they're kind of, it's not the perfect explanation for the visual they showed me, but it's almost like you jump and there's an explosion, it launches you forward. There's another explosion, it launches you forward, if that makes sense. So that's what that's doing for you guys, and that's going to be moving you forward it's meant to move you forward in a good way or lead to a good forward movement and as an outcome. Some of you, it's going to be fun actually as well. So if you think of like firework displays, they're fun. So that's good too. The next thing that they showed me is, it's leading you guys out of darkness, which is good. And that was one of the themes for this reading for the fire signs as well. It's kind of like moving out of darkness and facing the lights. There's also with this visual, as I was talking about it, they're showing someone facing the sun, but it's like really bright and close to their face, and it's burning things away. Like it's burning shadows away. It's burning deep despair. It's kind of purging the impurities in a weird way. It's kind of like refined by fire, which is funny for the fire signs, but refined by fire is kind of what they were showing me, which is kind of in tandem with this next message. They gave me a quick message of overcoming challenges and obstacles, the past staying in the past, overcoming confusion. They gave the phrase a moon phase rescinding, which kind of talks to the moon tarot card, which is like a moon phase would be confusion or darkness or things like that, not being sure what's going on. But it's kind of like the sun is coming out more brightly than ever before. And it's almost like you're not ready for it, is the way I'm hearing it for you as a message. It's like perhaps things like get good, but you're not used to that. And so it kind of it's burning away the impurities of like where you expect things to go wrong or things to go bad. Or maybe it's even something that's rewiring you for abundance, because maybe you used to have self-fulfilling prophecies, but they're not fulfilled. Like it's like negative self-fulfilling prophecies, but it's not working anymore. Like that's being burned away. So you kind of have to face the light and the truth and like create a new and move in a better direction. Or it's like you're being forced away from the darkness, even if it used to be a habit, is something they're showing me as well. So that's kind of a message that's coming in tandem with that sun message they were just showing me. Because the message they said is you guys are coming out of a lot of darkness within yourselves, in or around themselves, and are facing the lights, which is exactly the visual they showed me before I jumped into that message. The other thing they showed me, okay, they want me to skip that. Okay, next message here, there is just like we talked about with the collective reading, for you guys there's major transformation with the eclipses coming up. But they showed this concept of like night and day for you guys, like a literal flip, like things are going to be better. They also showed me the tarot card Wheel of Fortune to describe this, which is usually good luck, things turning around. And it's a right side up Wheel of Fortune tarot card for anyone who is worried about that in this visual. In case anyone was like, don't worry about that. It's a good message here. They also gave me the phrase like a new day, but it's like a good new day. It's like I don't know if turning a page is the right metaphor. I feel like I've been saying that a lot recently. And they kind of said, on that. But new day, good luck and abundance, and all that's yours. So the other thing they said for you guys is you guys are not going to be recognizable in a year. And it's a good thing. It's like you guys are really being pulled out of the husk, if that makes sense. What do I mean by that? They showed me I can't remember what kind of bug it was. But there was this kind of bug, and it was in Michigan, really prevalent in Michigan, and it would be doing this over the summer where it would like shed its like skin or its husk and have a new one. I don't think it was a cicada, but it could have been. I keep also like thinking about mayflies at the same time, because there are also a lot of mayflies. I wish I could remember the type of bug it is, but they showed like you being pulled out of this like husk, like your old husk. And maybe in the husk, it's comforting. You're used to wearing this old skin. You're used to being perceived a certain way and like being in a certain vibration, even if it isn't a good, comfortable situation, if that makes sense. Like, what's the best way to explain this? Like, sometimes certain people are really comfortable with being poor, is like the example they're showing me, or like not having a lot of money. And then when they have a lot of money, it's really uncomfortable for them and their identity. So they like get rid of it or like somehow they ruin that. I don't know how to explain that. And like they might even know like why they did that. Hopefully that is less common as things progress here. But they're kind of showing like it's like you're unavoidably being pulled out of this old husk like that in the near future. and being shown who you really are and what you're really meant for. And it's like that old husk, you could even say, might even be burned away in the sun, along with that previous message we talked about. That's what's coming in for the fire signs as well, with that major transformation. And again, they're showing me that surgery from the collective message that they were talking about at the end, with the like the pin board and the energetic surgery, in a sense. It kind of ties into that for you guys. So I would just say you guys are becoming who you are, is the message that's coming through, and the eclipses are rocketing you towards that. Next message here. What is this? They showed me this visual. Okay, give me 1 second to sit with this visual for you guys here. Okay. The next thing they have here, they just said you are strong. And usually the visual or the spirit animal they tie in with this is gorilla, of course. They just said you've been through the ringer. It's time to utilize that strength to head to victory. Whether it's a tough schedule, fortitude through a circumstance, etc., you will succeed. Use your strength. So it's just a reminder, like, you are strong. And maybe there's something coming up you're not looking forward to, but if you kind of buck up and do it, it goes well, is something they're saying. It's just kind of a reminder you can handle it, if that makes sense. So I just keep that in mind. You are strong, and strong enough is something I'm getting as well. Sometimes we're worried about being overburdened, whether it's emotionally or we're worried about something happening in life that, we're afraid of happening, and just because of how we felt in the past, like, we don't want to feel that way again. But I feel like if anything like that happens, you're going to be fine, is kind of the message I'm getting. So not to worry is what I'd say in that one. Next message here, they just said you're not stuck. You're just not stuck. Is what I'm getting for you guys. Some of you think you are and you're not, is what I'm hearing. And I know not all of you need to hear that, but that's what I'm hearing. If you feel like you're stuck in a situation, you're not. There's some action you could take to extricate yourself from it, or if you ask the universe kindly, it would show you the way out, is what I'm getting, and pretty quickly, like even over the next month. Or maybe it would take some time, you'd have to work your way out, but it's possible. Next message here, this might just come through every reading, so bear with me on this one. I just feel like this is a theme for the next while, but truth, it's just another reminder to tell the truth, whether it's to yourself, to other people. If you need this reminder, truth leads to victory, no matter what the topic is about. Lying will not lead to success, is kind of what I'm getting. It is what I'm getting as well on that one. So if you just tell the truth, is what I'd say in any situation. Next message here, there was kind of just I don't feel like this next one's for all of you. I'm getting it's not for all of you. It was a message to heal your heart. Abandonment is not going to be an issue. Don't be afraid of being abandoned. And some of you are afraid of that. I'm getting is not going to happen, or if it does and something happens where you feel like abandoned, like someone's right around the corner, or something's right around the corner to replace that. So there might be certain fears of abandonment for some of you, but don't worry about that, is what I'd say. Next message, they showed me a boat, which is, they just said, if you are on any type of a sinking ship, just evacuate the ship. Like if it's a job or a company that's going under, like get out of there, is kind of what they're saying. Like, don't go down with the ship. So you have full capacity to leave a situation that's sinking. I don't feel like all of you are in this, but if you find yourself in any sort of sinking ship in your life, whether it's not going to be all these things for all of you, of course, but it could be, God forbid, it could be an abusive relationship, or it could be a company that's like been in the red for like years and they might start doing layoffs or something like that. It could be I don't know, a neighborhood you're living in that keeps getting worse with violence or things like that. It's just time to get out of a situation that's sinking if you feel like you're in any type of a situation that's sinking. That's kind of it. They want me to end the reading there. Normally I'd see if there are any additional messages, so anything important for me to get to. They want me to close the reading there, so hopefully that wasn't too brief for you guys. I hope that was helpful and it just made sense with everything going on right now. If I had any other messages on the eclipses or just things like that coming up for you guys, I'm just hearing you guys know what to do. They just said they said they know what to do, and when they said they know what to do, they meant you know what to do. So I feel like you guys know what to do, and I feel like you won't see anything you haven't I mean, regarding certain changes, I do feel like we're still being lifted above and beyond like what's been possible before, but I feel like regarding some of the changes coming up, it's like you won't see anything you haven't seen before. So I feel like you're prepared. That's it. There's one more message. There is a message with a grasshopper, which they've been using that visual a lot recently, but I'll just roll with the message that what can I bring through but what I'm getting, you know? What's the message with the grasshopper for you guys here? They're pointing to the wings on the grasshopper specifically. It's just kind of a thing where they're just saying, you know, some of you kind of limit yourselves with like what you think you can accomplish, what you think is possible, what you think is for you. But grasshoppers have wings. They can do more than just jump, like they can fly. And you could just do so much more than you think you can in any area. And sure, it might take effort. It might take uncovering things or work or practicing things or uncovering different talents, but there's just, it's kind of a message of like, there's so much more for you if you look beyond what you think is possible, which is a weird message. But, and if you're not sure how to look beyond what you think is possible, a couple recommendations I have for you that they want me to say to you, if any, I would ask for what is actually possible to be unveiled when you're manifesting, like what's actually possible for me beyond what I think is possible or beyond what anyone thinks is possible. Thanks so much for showing me, universe, is like one way you could do it, or angels unveil what's truly possible for me. And you might be surprised, but that's it. Hope that makes sense. We're going to go to the Earth sign, Sun, Moon, and Rising after a quick water break. And I want to check in with you guys, see how you're doing. Rock and Robin, good to see you. I just want to give a quick shout out to the moderators, Rock and Robin. If there anyone else has been here that I haven't seen, I apologize, I haven't seen you. I typically am really focused on the reading, so I don't always look at chat while I'm going through it, going through the readings. But hey, and thanks for hanging out and helping out the chat and with the live here. Hey, Sandra. So we're gonna go to the Earth. So full if that's good. Earth sign, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is for you when you see it. Let me get it on screen here. There we go. Excuse me. How's it get any better than this? So I have channel messages here for you ahead of time. And of course, my spirit guides, the angels, and source will bring through any additional information that's for your highest good as I do so. They want me to start with the eclipses and what's coming up for you guys with the eclipses. What I hear for the earth signs is enormous amounts of healing and like deep healing, and also like treading deep into your psyche and like just pulling out some of the things that have been sticking you, whether it's been like stories you bought from other people or ideas you've had about things. And sometimes we just have these stories that are not true, whether it's about love and relationships. And like I'm going to borrow an example I've heard other people use just because it's the one I'm hearing. Like you think everyone's a cheater. And it's just like you have that in your brain, and it kind of, maybe that's something that sabotages your love life because you don't trust anyone, or you won't go on dates, or you're so, this is an example, I'm not saying you're like this, you're so untrustworthy with people, you're constantly like looking over their shoulder, accusing them of cheating, and then because you accuse them of cheating all the time, they actually do, because they're like, what's the point, I'm just going to get accused anyways, or they break up with you or whatever. That's obviously not going to be the exact story for all of you. It's just an example of one of those weird ideas people can have that's just not necessarily true overall. That is like something you're going to be like extracting and removing over this time period. I feel like one of the themes about that is coming through that this is going to be happening for is success. That's the message they gave me about, where it's like, where are you sticking yourself regarding you having what you want in life? And that could be love and romance for some of you. For others, that's literally just success in business or having the life you want. But where are you sticking yourself regarding success? Thanks, Train. Thanks, Universe, for the verification. But based on the stories you're telling yourself about those things, or the stories you bought from other people regarding those things. One second. Anything else there with the eclipse? So what else would be for that is good regarding the eclipses or anything else here? The other thing they're showing me is like being, and it's a good thing, but being unraveled. If you guys remember from like the 90s, the fruit roll-ups, the snack that was like a gummy snack, and you'd roll it out, and it was just a roll of fruit gummy stuff, essentially. You're being unfurled and like really being given an accurate look at yourself as well. Maybe it's other people pointing things out. Maybe it's just kind of displayed in front of you. Maybe it's even a dream you have and you just see it so clearly, like who you are, what you're here for, what's going on, etc. So one of the things coming in with the eclipses is clarity on yourself as well. There is, of course, divinely guided major change. I think that's just going to be happening for everyone with the eclipses as well. So keep that in mind. I do also feel like I get a message, you're being given a gift as well by the universe in some way, shape, or form. I feel like it's physical. They actually show me the word physical and said it's physical. So I do feel like it's physical, but I'm also getting it's going to be like a physical gift of some sort in the next couple months, like around the time period. So something like that coming in. I feel like it's important in some way. The other things you'll be handed are ideas, or whether it's like business ideas or something else, because they're showing these keys. It's like multiple keys, and it's like you're being handed or you're uncovering these, like it might already be within you and you're just uncovering it like an idea, but like these keys to victory, these keys to success, to forward movement. I feel like some of you might have been like felt held back of late, or like they're showing this master lock or someone trying to like lock pick. It's like you've been trying to pick a lock to move forward. It almost reminds me of, they're showing me this example of this game. If you guys, would it be fast for me to bring this through? It was like either Dungeons and Dragons or like Skyrim, like the Elder Scrolls. I know not all of you are into those games. I know that that's not necessarily the vast majority of the crowd I'm speaking to for a lot of you guys. Right as I'm popping a vitamin C gummy in my mouth. Awesome. I love that synchronicity. However, they're showing like this concept of like someone in like this video game trying to like pick a lock in a door to like advance to a next level, like maybe even ahead of where they should be, but they actually should be there, if that makes sense. But if you feel like you've been stuck or like been gate capped at all, or there's been this metaphorical lock you've been trying to pick or something you've been trying to figure out, I feel like that's just going to be open for you. It's like either the floodgates open or the gateway opens or the door is unlocked or you get the keys somehow. So you're just going to be getting something to move forward more easily, which is good. Next message, there's at least one more on what the eclipses are bringing through for you guys. They're showing me the word willpower. They're kind of pointing to the solar plexus a little bit as well. They're showing this electricity as well. You're kind of getting an activation to willpower for forward movement, and just like even if like you're someone who gets steamrolled in life, you're getting this willpower activation so you don't get steamrolled, or it's like it's easier to set boundaries. It's easier to be assertive, perhaps. Confidence is another word that could be linked to this, but not for all necessarily. It's more willpower. So you're going to be getting the willpower boost you need to hit another level or bust through some kind of barrier you've been facing, if that makes sense. All that to say that. But the other thing they're showing me is the throat chakra. I feel like this is for everyone that's tuning in on this live, not just the earth signs, weirdly enough. I just get that creativity is huge right now. And the more you're exercising that, the more you'll just be unlocking things within yourself, whether it's simple, whether you already do art, you just need to keep doing art or anything like that. But I just feel like creativity is a key for success right now. Because there might just be a lot of strange, what's the best way to say this? This is going back to the earth signs. There might just be a lot of strange like obstacles or like roadblocks that are temporary, and they're showing like you coming up to this like, oh my gosh, they're showing me like a lot of different ways to convey this message, but I think I brought this through in a different live, but it's a different message. It's like you come across this roadblock and then there's like a weird sphinx and it's like, riddle me this. And he's like 3 really simple riddles, and it's like, but it's like easy. And then like, you have to give these riddles to cross. It's like, or it's like kind of like jumping through hoops, but it's like, they're showing me these weird things because like the sphinx who's asking the riddles is distorted, and then they're showing me this like circus where you're jumping through hoops, but it's like a dilapidated circus. It's really strange. It's like kind of like out of the woodwork, maybe these like really strange like last ditch effort obstacles come up as like a why is this happening? I think it's just because we're in strange times, honestly. The thing is, you can overcome these things with ease. It's like, as long as you're keeping your wits about you. It kind of reminds me of like, not Monty Python. I feel like there are certain stories that exemplify this well, and I don't remember what they are, but it's kind of like, you know, when you have a hero who's like really like, he's kind of like a boss. Like, this hero is like, he has his wits about him. He's very effective. He's very competent and capable. And then he's like, he like comes up against these like really ridiculous challenges. And it's like some weird like creature jumps out of the woods. He's like, defeat me in a fight to pass. And like the hero just like walks past him and like pushes him over and like walks past like really easily. It's almost kind of like that energy in a weird way. So I'd say if certain obstacles or roadblocks present themselves, I'd try to face it more like that, or just go ahead and move forward. And I feel like it'll just be like easy to overcome them, if that makes sense. Really strange message, but or maybe part of what the other thing they're showing me for this eclipses is maybe something that comes in for you as well. Like, you've been facing obstacles, but over the course of the eclipses are coming up, like they become dilapidated like that, where it's like, maybe it looks like a fierce challenge, but I don't know, like maybe normally you'd have to fight a tiger to pass through a certain area, as an example, but the tiger's out to lunch or something, and then you can just walk right past it, and like otherwise you were kind of afraid, but you didn't have to worry. So I feel like easy passage are the words I'm hearing. And you might still have to put in some effort, you know, but that's just something they're showing me, is certain weird obstacles that are easy to overcome if you just tackle them. I don't know. Next message here. Let me see if there's anything else they want me to get to with that, or just move over here. They're showing me a quail egg. Quail is, I don't think they've really shown me a quail egg for a reading before. So what is this about here? Give me 1 second. If that's good here. So they're going to have a different clarification. The message they're giving me is breakfast comes in unexpected forms. What does this even mean? You know, some of you might be praying for abundance or praying for a particular outcome. Don't ignore the things that come in answer to that. Like, you might be praying for like ham and bacon for breakfast. But instead the universe gives you quail eggs, and maybe it's more nutritious and it's what your body needs, but it's like unexpected or weird. They're just saying, like, don't discount the weird blessings that come your way, if that makes sense, or the weird answers to your prayers. Like, they're just as effective as like what you were expecting. So what is another example? The story they want me to tell you about, like the idea that came in and then my guys were like, tell them about that, was like yesterday I was putting up this net for cats for the outside porch, because we have these cats and they love to go outside, but they also just love to just instantly beeline to whatever will just get them into the most trouble possible instantly. I don't know what it is about certain cats, but we're going to put up these netting around it, and I was going to, you know, use some nails. I'm just like, hey, I need a hammer. And I'm like, okay. So the person I'm dating like went and got me a hammer, but it was like this weird, like tiny golden hammer. It was like not like it wasn't like an actual like hammer like I was expecting. I'm like, what do I do with this? But it worked. So that's the example they want me to say for you guys on that one. And that's not, you know, exactly probably what's going to happen, but something different like that, where it's like, maybe you're asking the universe for a new computer, and your mom gives you, you know, an old iPad or something, but the iPad does the trick. So just something to keep in mind. Not the perfect example, but I feel like there are like weird blessings coming in, or strange answers that don't seem like that they will work, but they will. So keep that in mind. Next thing I have here, one of the main themes, so what else they want? They want me to get to something else here. They're showing me this cave, and we're completely deviating from what I have channeled down here for, well, not, some of the messages still line up, but I'm just going with what they're showing me. They're showing me this cave. It's like a bat cave. I don't think it's the Batman bat cave. There's literally bats. There's all these like glowing crystals in this cave here. I don't like this message, but I'll bring it through. They're showing me this cave, there's bats, there's crystals, and the words they're showing me are, I feel like I've said this a lot, but new path, and I'm just gonna trust it. And part of the message is like to take the more difficult path. I don't feel like that's always the right answer, honestly. I think it really depends on who you are and where you're at. But you might be facing a choice between like the easy road and the hard road. And one of the quotes that comes to mind with this as well, I don't think it's a perfect quote, but I think once I explain it, it'll make sense to you. It's easy choice is hard life, hard choice is easy life. And I kind of got that from like Tim Ferriss, who I think got it from somewhere else. But what does it mean? So if you take the hard choices, such as going to the gym 3 times a week and working out, putting in the work up front to build a side hustle while you're still working full time, doing something difficult that leads to ease down the road. Because like if you're staying in shape and making the hard choice to work out all the time, and maybe some of you have a habit honed in where it's easier to work out, awesome. You still know what I'm talking about. But if you're making the difficult choice to like work out all the time, even though it's not the easy choice, you're going to have an easier life up ahead in theory, because you're healthier, you have that habit honed in, it's easier to maintain that being in shape. And you know what? You might have other ease in areas in certain ways where maybe I think anything's possible. I think you can be in any sort of shape or like any sort of way and attract the person you want to attract necessarily. But maybe you have an easier time attracting people when you're in shape as opposed to out of shape. I don't mean to trigger anyone if that's triggering for anyone. It's just an example. But like this hard choice makes a lot of different areas of life easier. Like it's easier if you can get up and be mobile and feel good and have energy when you go to work, as opposed to not exercising and then you have all these uphill battles as a result of it, is one example. There's a lot of different ways you could take this quote and apply it. I feel like easy choice, hard life, hard choice, easy life. For example, if you're in a really, really lackluster relationship or like crappy and there's probably better for you, the easy choice is just to stay in it. The hard choice is to do the work to potentially find something better in the future, would be another example. So that kind of applies to that message with like taking the more difficult path. It could be more literal, like maybe you have a business you want to start, but it's going to be a lot more work as opposed to a really easy job that, pays enough and you just kind of have to show up. And like, I don't know, factory work is an example that comes to mind. It's like, maybe they pay you $20 an hour. You just show up, you just do the same thing all day. It's easy, you get paid enough, but it's like, maybe the other route would be more fulfilling and lead to better down the road. If you were to, the example is build your own business, if that makes sense. So keep that in mind. Right now, if you have that sort of choice, I feel like it's going to be a choice that's very obvious, where it's like, this is going to be more difficult, this is going to be really easy. But I feel like you'll be guided. Either a friend will kind of coach you through it, or spirit will coach you through it if you channel or something like that. But they want me to move to the channel messages I have here now. One of the messages that's important is hope and healing hope. One of the things that's going on for you guys is you are going to be healing a lot of hope and renewing your faith in the universe. There are good things for you. Trust was the message that came through. Sometimes we lose hope there are good things for us, even if we know deep down, even if like we cognitively, or we're like, yeah, there's good things for us, but it's like you don't see it after a while and you kind of lose hope. I feel like something is coming in to spark that hope back alive, or you're going to be getting more renewed trust and faith in the universe and in like hope for your future, essentially. And even for the world is something I'm getting. Another thing, okay, I think I'm going to skip that. The next message, turnaround. There is a big rapid turnaround to victory and improvement coming in for the earth signs, especially if you've been facing a downward spiral or downward turn of events of late. The universe is helping you turn things around. I'm also hearing the universe is on your side for many of you tuning in. You'll know who you are. You'll feel it. If you feel like you're not that person, my question to you is, what will it take for you to get into alignment with the universe so that it is? I feel like that question is like, are you aligned? If that makes sense. The example that comes to me is like, the universe isn't going to be like on the side of someone who goes out and like club seals necessarily while they're being, I have trouble with the word ethical or unethical sometimes, because I think like it can be easier for people to get wrapped up into stories or judgments of what is ethical as opposed to what is spirit saying is for the highest good. I think those can be two different things: human judgment on ethics and what is being channeled through is what's for the highest good. At the same time, I think there can be a lot of congruency between those things. So take that with critical discerning skills. But for many of you, the universe is on your side. If you don't feel like it is, my question to you, and my question that I would recommend you ask the universe, is what will it take for me to be aligned so that the universe is on my side? But for a lot of you, if not most of you, it is on your side, so keep that in mind. Even if things seem like they are against you, I feel like they're just growing you, or they're challenges you can overcome with ease once you turn to the universe for help. And what do I mean by turning to the universe for help? Ask for assistance, like pray every day is the example that comes through. Just be asking for that assistance every day. Angelic, spirit guides, spirit, source, whatever, God. I don't care if it's Jesus, whatever works best for you. Whatever is your way to source, do that. Next message here, there's a bit more on that as well. I feel like if there, with the positive turnaround coming around as well, you've earned this positive turnaround in some way, shape, or form, like you've put the effort forth, or it's something you've earned through past effort, etc. So keep that in mind. Next message here, there is a message that is good, that there's joy coming in for you guys. Like, I'm just getting it's a time of joy and peace for most of you, or you will find that coming in for you soon. So relish it and it will expand. So when you're in that energy of joy, take a second to thank it, acknowledge it, be in it consciously, and watch it grow is what I'm getting. You'll find more to be joyful about is what they're saying on that one. I'm also hearing you're meant for joy. I'm also, there was a whole channeled message I just listened to the other day that's popping into my head now. It was by Lee Harris. They actually don't want to get into this right now, so I'm sorry. Well, let me redirect myself here. What would be high so much for me to get to here? One of the things they said that they want me to say to you is like, joy is contagious and it's necessary. So if you're in joy, don't like poo-poo joy. Don't, now they want me to say what that channel said, what Lee Harris said. In that channel message, they were talking about like, like joy is contagious and it's like, it's necessary. And it's a good idea to cultivate that and be in joy, like regardless of what's going out in the world. And it's not like ignoring other people's suffering or becoming narcissistic, and definitely don't enjoy other people's suffering is what I'd say. But it's like, if you're in joy and something is good for you, it's like, stay there. That frequency is needed. It's contagious. It can spread to other people. It can upshift the world. And like what frequency would the world be at if we were all like sour and every single person was like it wouldn't be a good frequency necessarily if everyone were not allowing themselves to be in joy just because someone else over here was going through something here, if that makes sense. So because everyone would just be keeping themselves down, and it would kind of dim the light a little bit. So keep that in mind. But I do feel like joy is coming, which is good. And the other message with that, to reiterate, is to expand your joy when it does, to sit with it, to thank it, to acknowledge it, to be with it, and to maybe even ask, what will it take for me to have more of this? Once it shows up. So anything else that would be important for me to get here? I think this is just going to come through for every sign every week until it doesn't. But truth, a lot of truth coming your way. Make sure you are listening when the truth unveils itself. Sometimes we're shown something, we're like, oh, and then we kind of ignore it, and we're shown something again, and then we kind of like half ignore it. I would like fully listen to the truth once it unveils itself. The example they want me to give you, and they're all like, give that example now. They're like yelling at, they don't want me to tell you that they were yelling at me, but they were. Sorry guys, forgive me. But the example that comes to me was actually about pick a card readings. Because it actually, it came through in a reading I was watching, because it was just something I used to replace watching other forms of media like shows. I was like, this is going to be a higher vibration, it's probably going to help me out, etc. So I used to watch like last year, like a ton of like pick a card readings on YouTube and things like that. And recently there's just kind of been this message like, stop doing that. It's like there's something about where I need to go or where I'm at right now where it's better for me to probably just listen to myself, or maybe like just a select few key readers I go to or people, if that's, and it's just been very blatant to stop watching pick a card readings. And it's like, I feel like that truth has come through before, and I kind of like, and it came through, and I'd be like, but it's like, it's just been a bit more like in my face recently where I need to stop doing that. So that's my example of that. But for others of you, it could be like seeing the truth of a person, or seeing the truth of a person who's been manipulating you, or seeing the truth about a past circumstance that you were hoping would come back around, or something like that, like an ex or something. And then you're like, wait a second, I don't think I actually want that. I need to kind of cut cords with that and open the space for something new to come in instead, for example. You get it, so I don't need to harp on that. Next message for you guys before we keep going here. There was like a quick, they want me to say it, so what do you guys want me to say here? They just are saying things are going to be hatching for you guys. Maybe you've been in this period where things have been hatching for you for a while, or there's been an incubation period, but manifestations, again, they're going to be the word joy, things like that. So I feel like you're in this period where things start hatching for yourself. The word I'm also hearing is nurture. So for some of you, like if it's a business idea, like nurture that business. If it's a relationship, like nurture that relationship. If it's a job, nurture the job, like show up early, put in extra effort, like give it your all, if that makes sense. But nurture the things that, for others of you, just enjoy what's transpiring is what I'd say for that. If you feel like you can, if that's something that's good. They want me to end the reading there very expressly, so I'm going to do so. Otherwise, they're probably going to get mad. So, and they don't really get like mad. They just act. It's more like a way to get the message across further. It's like they'll be mad, if that makes sense, for anyone who is curious about how that works. But I'm going to take a quick second to drink water, and then we're going to move to the air signs. And Spice Wolf, first of all, cool username, but I'm going to try and get bigger signs so you guys can read them better in the future. So these Belly 4302, these will be up on YouTube. I still have to post last week's. I was sick all last week, but I have it. But these are, filmed through TikTok, and then you can download them and repost them on YouTube, and that's what I do. And there will be timestamps for each of the readings as well. Ooh, I'm feeling better, Karen. Thanks for helping. I feel like I'm at the tail end of it. But I keep hearing I'm not sick anymore. It's like the last day of a cold, it's like you're better, but it's like you sniffle sometimes maybe, but I feel like I'm doing a lot better. So we're swig of water. Okay, so let me give it 1 second. You're welcome, Belly. Thanks, Kit Kat. I appreciate it. Me too. I have a bunch of people I rescheduled readings with that I need to get back out to today as well, and emails. So if that's you, I'll be in contact soon. So fully flash good. Air signs, sun, moon, or rising. I'm so sorry. They want me to take like a quick break for whatever reason. I think I need more water or something. So I will get started very soon here. And it might even be just so I can answer this question. Where do I find you on YouTube? So channeling source is similar to my URL, my handle here on TikTok, but I spelled channeling different. If you go to my TikTok bio, I think if you go to my Linktree, you'll find it if you scroll down on the Linktree. I know my Linktree is getting expanded. it's a bit long, but I think if you click on the little like Instagram button next to the follow button or whatever on my profile, that will take you to either my Instagram or YouTube as well. But it's channeling source, but it's 2 words, and channeling only has 1 L in my YouTube username. And I, for whatever reason, for TikTok, channeling with 2 L's is like the British or UK spelling, I believe, or it can be. And I was like really smitten with that version of it, and now I just have that as my username now. So I've been wanting to change it to 1 L, but they kept telling me not to yet, so we'll see what happens. But hopefully that answers that for you. Lots of tea to get better. I have been drinking a lot of tea. Thank you. Healing movement. Should you continue on your Reiki path? I get yes. I do get yes. So we're going to move to the air sign, sun, moon, and rising. Fully fly is good. The first thing they're showing me, so this is for you when you see it. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching now, it's for you when you see it, of course. And I have channel messages. I have channel ahead of time, and my spirit guides, the angels and source will bring through any additional information that's for your highest good as I do so, or they'll just start bringing through other information. The first thing they're showing me, even as I hang that sign up, is this blimp here. Interestingly enough, they're using the concept of like floating. Like blimps kind of like float in the air. They're just telling you to take time to rest, take a break if you need it. Don't work yourself to the bone is kind of the message I'm getting for you guys. I know there was a collective message of like taking action and things like that. You could still do that. You could still make moves, but you don't have to run yourself ragged doing it, if that makes sense. So find a good balance between that. But honestly, for you guys, I would take extra rest if you feel like that resonates for you or you need that. I feel like it's necessary. But they're showing me this concept of, give me 1 second here, floating through life, essentially. So why are we talking about floating through life here? They're kind of talking about if you were riding a current of water, for instance, like if you were floating in the ocean or even a large lake, I guess, or in a river. They don't like the river analogy, so whatever. A large body of water, and you kind of caught yourself on a current, you wouldn't have to do much to go with the flow and be carried, forward, I guess you could say, or out. I don't like this analogy of out to sea. I feel like that's usually a negative connotation when you're at the beach, is like riptides and stuff. I don't think this is a bad thing. I just feel like some of you are doing, I always want to encourage you to take action and do things. I feel like some of you are doing way more than you need to, and it's like running yourself ragged. And it's like if you float, it's like the current still carries you forward, or like the momentum still carries you forward. I feel like a lot of you could do less and still move forward, and take that as it resonates, of course. I'm not saying stop taking action. I'm not saying stop moving forward. I'm just saying rest and see what happens if you float a little bit. Like take a day is what I'd say. See what happens. But a lot of you have forward momentum, and it's going to keep going if you rest, is what I'm getting. So don't force yourself to take action right now if you don't have to. I would even just give yourself a week to rest is something I'm hearing, whether it's extra sleep at nights or consciously taking more breaks or something to do that. I feel like that's going to be helpful for you guys. Again, that's not always the message that comes through, but it's what's coming through for you guys right now here. What else is coming through for you guys here? They're showing this concept of, if you guys remember those like stomp rockets from the 90s or early 2000s, it was like, maybe even from the 80s, but it was like you'd have like this little like air pad, and then this like hose that connected up to this like rocket launch tube and like a rocket, and you'd stomp on the pad and it would like whoop, it would like force air through the whole thing and like shoot the rocket up. They showed this concept of like that air rocket, the stomp rocket, and like, but in this visual it's like launching up and then it's falling on the ground, and they're saying this message like if your efforts have been falling short, or you feel like you've been falling short, they're not going to much longer. I feel like you're gonna be adding rocket fuel to what you're doing, and like things are actually going to be effective, if that makes sense. So if you feel like you've been trying and failing, trying and sort of succeeding, trying and failing, I feel like you're going to be getting the missing ingredients or the rocket fuel for your stomp rockets, so you can succeed, if that makes sense, which is good. Cool. Next message here. What else is coming through for you guys? We're going back to they want me to go to these messages over here. So I feel like this has been a major theme recently, but for you guys, one of the things that came through is Upshift of the Century was the title they gave it. It said major improvements coming for the next few months and year. I might have said this to you guys before, honestly. But what's the message here for you guys on that for like right now? Why is this important right now? I feel like it's part of the eclipse energy, honestly, is like, are like this upshift energy coming in, or like I think that could even be the rocket fuel that's coming in for you guys as well, metaphorically speaking, for this upshift of the century. But I would just know that major improvements are coming in. They're not giving me a ton more on that right now, unless they want to. What would So anything else in that would be as good or helpful for you guys? Just know you're going to be upshifting around this time, I suppose, and if they want to bring through more, I'll let them bring through more as we go through this here. Next message here, they want me to go back to the blimp, interestingly enough, so let me see what that's about here. They want me to reiterate the message and maybe make it a little bit more clear. They're saying, like, if you take time to rest with this blimp, because they're showing this blimp just floating in the air, but there's like a strong current of wind or something like gusts this blimp and like launches it forward. So I feel like taking time to rest will help you move forward. I don't feel like that's the perfect way to phrase it though. Or it might give you the ideas that help you to launch forward is something I'm getting as well. But I feel like forward movement is inevitable as well with these eclipses, so keep that in mind. But I feel like resting leads to victory in some way. Next message I have here, elephant showed up for you guys. It was about obstacles. This was another weird message, so I'm gonna take a second to explain it, because they showed these obstacles, but they were like underwater. And it was kind of like the universe is drowning your obstacles temporarily. So it was like, there was kind of this message where like, you can choose to like, for you guys, chase the obstacles and like go underwater and like, it's a weird message, keep making things the same, or you can choose to kind of float and like take the other way and just kind of float above the obstacles, if that makes sense, or swim above the obstacles. It's like you're getting this temporary reprieve from obstacles, like over the next month is what I'm getting in some way, shape, or form. So you might be getting another way to do things that avoids obstacles entirely, or some other way of doing things that's helps you. I know we just talked about difficulty with the earth signs, but helps you to avoid certain difficulty. The way they explain it is a temporary period where you can skirt around obstacles. They just said they would advise you take that opportunity to do so. That's why this float message might have been showing up so much with the blimp and everything, because I kind of forgot about this message until I just saw it right now. Because the word float is in this message as well. Like you can float or you can choose to dive underneath and still face the obstacles. It's really weird. I feel like that's why they want you to rest though, is part of the messages as well. I feel like it'll help you choose the path that's right for you for some of you. For others, it's just what you need. Next message here. What do we get to now? I want to see if they want to explain this obstacles underwater thing a bit more, because it's a really interesting message, the way it came through. They're giving this message of like, if you had the choice between swimming across the English Channel in the UK or taking a speedboat, which would you choose? Probably the speedboat. So if you have a choice like that, take the better option, is what I'd say. Next message here. They showed me a cooking kettle, and it was kind of a message. It was similar to what came through in the general collective. It was like, if there are any warnings that come your way, like heed the warnings. But there were a couple of other messages. It's like a cooking kettle, like, you know how, excuse me, if I'm thinking of the correct kettle, maybe tea kettle, they kind of whistle when the tea is ready. I know most of us are onto things like electric kettles, which make so much more sense and are so much better typically. But if you do have any like warnings going on, just pay attention to that. The other thing is like change is brewing. So answer the call when the kettle sings. So there is a change coming for you guys, but you'll have to heed a call to make it happen. It's a good change. So it's kind of like when the kettle is whistling, like you have to go and take the kettle off the stove and pour the water or do whatever you do with it. I feel like there is some type of change brewing, but you're going to have to take some type of action. But I feel like it's going to be in your face. It's going to be obvious. So I would heed that call. Essentially, the kettle has been brewing for a reason. So keep that in mind. And some of you, maybe you see this coming. You've known about this. Others of you, maybe it's a surprise, but that's just a heads up there. There was a message. It reminds me of the Ten of Swords tarot card. That's the one that's popping up as I'm about to read this one to you. The message is victory. They said if you've been going through defeats, you are going to have your own victory. In a month is what they're saying. So probably in the next 30, 35, 40 days, somewhere in there, some type of victory coming in, especially after, if you've been going through like loss after loss, which is some of you, or just like a lot of defeats, it's time for that to turn around is what I'm hearing for you guys. So that's good as well. They're also talking about good luck. Some of the ways I've seen the Ten of Swords read is like, you know, I think I saw one reader talking about how he's making the symbol of like good luck with his hands. when he's, on the Ten of Swords, and they're pointing my attention to that. And I'm getting this message like, ask for good luck and you'll have it. But you might have to just manifest it, maybe put in some work and you'll have it, if that makes sense. And they don't want me to get into the whole spiel I was about to get into. So what else would be high so much for me to bring through for you? We're just going to move to the next message here. We're just going to go through it. So I feel like I'm going to have to balance this with the other messages that are coming through. I feel like this next message is more of like an in general message. I don't feel like it's just for another week or something. I feel like it's in general for like maybe even the next like year or so. And it's still okay to rest, like the message is coming through, and take care of yourself. But one of the messages that came through, they said gold and roads to gold, which was, I think something similar came through last week, but whatever. The message was like, this is not a good time to go like sightseeing in your life metaphorically, or to like, rest is okay, by the way, but to like lollygag or like purposefully put things off for like weeks on ends, or I don't like the phrase lazy all the time, but it's not necessarily a good time to be lazy necessarily. Like it's a really good time to stay on target, eyes on the prize, head towards the gold, heads towards your targets in life. If you are staying on track, things unfold beautifully. Like you can still rest and have forward momentum carry you, and maybe resting is part of you accomplishing your targets in life, your ambitions, because otherwise you're just burnt out and you're not going to be able to enjoy your accomplishments maybe. But in general, it's more of a message to not get distracted by all the shiny things that could be on your path, but to stay focused on the prize, the manifestation, the dream, and what you know in your heart is for you. And that's going to see you going a lot further than getting distracted by what this person's doing over here and getting distracted by this thing over here, if that makes sense. I feel like the universe is kind of almost like dragging you to your destination. It kind of reminds me of this concept of like, a kid might love candy in like a candy store. I don't think there's anything wrong with candy occasionally. However, like it's not always something that's good for the kid, is like exorbitant amount of candy. So the universe might be dragging you away from things that aren't good for you right now. And it's trying to get you on this road to gold is something I'm getting as another message for this as well. So keep that in mind. If there's something shiny you're being dragged away from, whether it's a potential opportunity or a person or something like that. Next message here. They just showed me I feel like this has been, okay. They don't like me saying messages like this has been a common message, so I'm going to stop saying that, finally. But the message is, they show me platinum again, but it was more like a platinum record. They showed me like a platinum record, like when a band or an artist, a music artist does really well and has like a bajillion sales and they get platinum records and stuff. The message is there are much bigger things in store for you than you recognize, but you have to keep forward momentum going when it's time. Still rest, still float, etc. But for now, but keep moving and things happen is kind of the message with that one. The other message here is kind of similar to the other message, but it's a little bit different. Be you. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Be you and focus on you, and all unfolds beautifully. Trying to be someone else is not a good idea. Sometimes it's tempting to be someone else, or want to be someone else, or be like someone else because they're successful, they're good at what they do, they get a lot of attention. You're like, I want that, and that's okay. You'll get what's for you if you're being you, and you might get something that's better for you. And they want me to talk about it as well, as just a reminder. And I've heard, this is something I originally heard just more from Lee Harris, honestly, who's a good channeler, and I reference him a lot. And honestly, I'm doing my best to give credit where credit is due when I'm guided to bring through a message that I've heard somewhere else. And just try not to take credit for everyone's work or anything like that. But the message that he was talking about is like, you might see someone on social media who has like what seems to be like a picture perfect relationship, or someone who seems to have like all this amazing stuff. But the thing he mentioned is like, you don't know what their internal experience of life is like they could be miserable, is the typical example, I suppose you could say, or they could be like, maybe they're not happy in that relationship that looks perfect on Instagram, or is couple goals on Instagram or something. Maybe they're actually like I don't know, maybe they want something else or they feel held back from something. Like you might not really realize that. So being you and honoring your internal self and being where you're at, acknowledging that, moving forward from there to what's for you, what your dreams are, is going to be much better than trying to emulate someone else, even if it's in like a similar route, or trying to be someone else, if that makes sense. It's just not going to work if you're trying to be someone else, anything, anywhere. So keep that in mind. They want me to give this example as well. It reminds me of this concept with like dating, where, and I've heard a lot of different people talk about this, but a lot of guys think they need to put on a certain like front to like get girls, I guess you could say, like be the alpha, be like this, emulate this dude who said this thing on a podcast. Like they think they need to kind of be someone else, and they don't think that might not be their thought process literally, but they're like trying to put up this front to like get this thing, to have this other thing. Like, I don't know, maybe they're trying to get a girl to impress their friends, or for validation, because they're told, oh, only guys with pretty girls are cool, or what. I don't know. It's a whole weird psychological thing out there. But coming back to center, what I've heard from people and what I've found to be true for me in dating and relationships that's been good for me is literally doing the work to uncover the authentic self and let that shine through and like actually be you. And by actually be you, I think people get confused. They think that means like being their patterns that they've always been, like liking video games and staring at the TV, or they think like only eating ice cream every meal is them. But it's like, that's just a habit, that's just a story, that's just a pattern. That's not you. That's you. Who you really are is more like at a soul level. It's like, what's your actual soul calling in life? Like, are you doing what you're meant to be doing in life and moving towards that, and going for, what you genuinely know is for you. For me, I honestly feel like channeling and my connection to source and honing in my intuition and spirituality has been what's been one of the things that's helped me uncover my authentic self. But that's worked a lot better for me than trying to follow anyone else's dating advice for the most part. There's been a few exceptions, but I feel like that's similar for you with anything you're trying to do, whether it's relationships, it's business, it's anything else, is like uncovering that authentic self. I don't think I need to beat a dead horse here. I think you get it. But being you is going to get you what you want, even if you don't think it does, or even if you don't think it is. Because being you isn't necessarily being your old patterns. It's like, who are you authentically in the moment? Who are you at a soul level? What's your calling? What's your mission? What is source guiding you to do? What is your intuition guiding you to do? Who are you intuitively being led to be? What are you intuitively being led to do? So it's kind of like, hopefully that helps. I feel like there's a little bit more I'm missing that would help you guys out on this. So give me 1 second here. What would be highest and best moving through on that for the guys get on that note? And I've said this before, I'll say it again in case it's helpful for anyone else tuning in today. Manifesting being yourself is another way to do this. Like, universe, show me who I truly am, or just scripting like as a manifestation, like I asked to be the highest and best me I'm truly meant to be this lifetime. Thank you. Or I asked to be who I came here to be on earth, or something like that, and like manifesting it and stepping into it that way, instead of trying to like cognitively figure it out and like mind effing yourself based on like the judgments and like the projections on like who you're supposed to be, instead of like letting it unfold and be manifested for you. I know I've said that before, but I feel like that is just a missing link or shortcut in certain areas for people when they try to make changes, is like, you can let the universe show you these things instead of trying to figure it out mentally. Like, you can get intuitive promptings, you can manifest it, things like that. So we're gonna move on from that, because I think I talked about that for a solid 5 minutes there, but hopefully that's still helpful. There anything else that would be for the high school food ring through for we're on air signs? Yes. Wow, I forgot what signs we were on. The one thing over here is just a reminder not to overindulge. They showed me like a brownie, like the dessert, and then they gave me the word sweets. They said, oh, don't overindulge. They said, have boundaries with yourself and keep yourself from overindulging in things. You will see improvements in your life. So it could literally be sweets or desserts. It could be TV. It could be TikTok. It could be, and I love having you here. And I think it's a little bit different if you have a purpose to what you're going to take, or intention to what you're going for TikTok for. And if you're just scrolling for some time, I think sometimes we need that time. I think that's fine. But if it's like 5 hours out of your day, I think it's time to start to set some boundaries with yourself. But if you find yourself overindulging, try to rein that in. I feel like that would be really helpful for you in a lot of ways. There's going to be alcohol as another example. So some of you, that might be that. It's just important that you're doing what's right for you instead of overindulging, if that makes sense. And in some ways, I am all about, well, I don't know if this is the best way to say this. I'm all about experiencing life and getting the most out of, receiving the most out of it that you came here to experience, including the delicious things, is something I've heard people talk about that I liked the way they phrased it as maybe you're also here to experience all the delicious things life has to offer, maybe an occasional, if you're 21 over, maybe an occasional beer is okay. Or if you're out of the States, if whatever you're drinking legal limit age that I won't get in trouble for talking about is in your country, that, or, having a cupcake sometimes, that's fine. I don't know. I think you have to enjoy life, but when it's in excess, it might be inhibiting the other things you came here to experience. So keep that in mind. That's kind of it for the air signs. If I were to summarize, or just if there's anything important to say for you guys here, the last message they're showing me, okay, I'm so sorry. They want me to skip the last message and move on, so I'm going to do that and trust that that's the right move. So thank you, air signs. We're moving to the water signs next, I believe. Okay, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on with my bladder these past couple lives. I need to take a bathroom break. So we're gonna do water signs in just a second. That's coming up in 2 minutes, but I have to use the restroom really quickly. So if anyone in chat wants to just let people know, if anyone just comes in and is like, why are we staring at this wall? That's what's going on. So I'll be right back, guys. Give me 1 second. Hey guys, I'm back. Hi, thank you so much for your patience. Oh, we can all send some hearts in the meantime. I love you. Thank you, Tina. Thank you guys. I love you guys. Hey, extra small popsicle. They want me to jump right into water signs. So, hopefully that's good here. Water. So if you have a water, sun, moon, or rising sign, it's for you when you see it. Of course, if you're watching later on, if you're watching now live, of course it's for you now, for anyone just tuning in. And I have channel messages here from ahead of time, and my spirit guides, the angels and source, will bring through any additional information that's for your highest good as I do so. So what are the highest and best messages for you here? They want me to start with channel messages over here. There are like horse spirit animals also jumping in with this reading, and and unicorn, and we'll get to that towards the end is what I'm getting. And for some reason, okay. And fairies, but we'll get to that in a second. So water skiing was, the first thing they showed me was just water skiing and the concept of water skiing. The actual message for you guys is like breezing through life, which is good. Like sometimes, I don't know if coast is the right word, but sometimes you're at this point in life, or you have these periods where you can just kind of coast, or things are just easy, or you're just kind of pulled through life. I feel like that's what's coming up for you with the eclipses. If you're watching in the future, of course, it's just going to be coming up for you, but there's a time of breeze coming through with a lot less strife. Hold on and life pulls you through, kind of like a water skier holding onto a water ski handle, and the boat just pulls them along and they just glide along the water. I feel like that's the time period you're in, or will be in soon. It's like, yeah, you still have to hold on. You still have to put effort into holding on to the handle, and you still have to maybe do your daily tasks and things like that. But it's kind of like you're just pulled along. Perhaps you're guided through what to do. And I feel like you're in, or will be in, a period of ease more, which will be good. It's more about gliding. I feel like strife has been a theme in the past. It's like you've been taught a lot through that, but it's time for a break from strife. It's just time for more ease, which is good. They're showing me like this voting ballot, and they're like, the universe has voted on ease for 2023 is what they said for you guys, which is funny too. So I feel like the vote for you is to move towards ease, interestingly enough. So I want to clarify something. If you have an earth sign and you watch the earth sign message, and there was the message about choosing a difficult path, and you're watching this reading and you just watch the universe talk about voting with ease and what I just said, and you're scratching your head, both can hold true in a sense, especially if you're, I don't want to take too long on this because this is supposed to be focused on the water signs, but you know, reminds me of the quote, like, hard choices, easy life, easy choices, hard life. You can be making the hard choices and there's some challenge or difficulty, but there's still ease and grace around that, or ease and grace through that, if that makes sense, or maybe even going through the challenges with ease. So keep that in mind. Both things can be true. And maybe if you look at the messages and how they actually play out in your life, like both would make perfect sense. Like it'd be like two puzzle pieces fitting together perfectly, or with a puzzle piece in between that they fit perfectly. And it makes sense once it plays out. Next message here for you guys here. There is a little bit more on this one here. What else is going on here? Because they're showing the concept of, in water skiing, there's one form of water skiing where you only have one ski, and it's called slalom skiing. And you're supposed to, like, you know, the boat's pulling you straight, and then you're supposed to like pull out and like go around this buoy and go to the other side of the boat and get around this other buoy and like go around these like 6 buoys essentially. The other message for you guys is like, you can go through challenge if you want to, and it's encouraged to move towards things that you want to do. But if you really want to coast right now, it's okay, as long as you're keeping up with like daily maintenance and at least taking some type of action like towards what you want. That might not hold true for all of you, but I'm not a big guy on like coasting, but some of you need to coast a little bit. I don't know why. Or you need to like let things be easy, if that makes sense. Next message, it was kind of a message of like, okay, Elephant came through for you guys as well, but this message was a bit different. They said, trust your journey. There is more to come. So don't think things are over right now. There's a lot of good stuff on your path, and you have to keep going. That is what will lead to victory. Patience moves mountains. Forward momentum is another thing they were talking about. They said, if you have momentum on something, a project, a relationship, etc., keep the momentum going. Don't hold back. This is encouragement to stay on your path. So I feel like I need to like deal with some seemingly conflicting messages here. Give me 1 second here. I feel like it's like you can still coast and take action on things. What the main message they're trying to say is like, don't overexert yourself, if that makes sense. Like right now, like it's okay to be pulled through and allow life to pull you through, if that makes sense. So I would keep that in mind as well, where it's like, you're just being encouraged to keep forward momentum going and maintain it, and just encouraged to stay on your path, but also just to be patient. I feel like some of you might have been thinking about giving up on something, but it's not the right time to give up on something is something I'm getting as well. So I would keep going. That'll be helpful for you. Next message they have here, pig and piggy bank is what they showed me. So there is a lot more money coming in for the water signs with ease. So accept any raises with grace, any gifts with ease. They gave me the quote, like, take the money and run. I wouldn't literally do that. They were just like, don't actually run unless it's warranted. They just said, but it's about raises, it's about gifts, etc. So just accept that if it comes your way. Congratulations is also the word I'm getting for you. So congratulations. I feel like you've earned it, or you deserve it, or it's time. But increase in finances is coming in, which is good. Next message, which ties in with that, money burdens lifting. Over the years, money burdens are going to be lifted from your back. Trust that that will occur with ease. This is a time of abundance. Even if it doesn't seem like it right now, keep moving forward and money burdens will lift. So I feel like this is looking good financially for the water signs if you keep going forward. I feel like that's something that's coming in the near future here, which is good. And I'd be accepting it. Don't turn it away. I don't know if any of you guys would turn it away, but here's what they're explaining. They're kind of showing me. Sometimes you get a promotion and you're like afraid to accept it because it's added responsibility. You're like, can I handle it? Like it's, nice and cozy where you're at. Like you know what to expect. I would take the opportunity anyways is something I'm getting if that explains your situation, which might not be all of you, but keep it in mind. Next message here, the same thing that came through for all the signs today was just something on truth. And that just we're just in an era where truth is important. Tell the truth and things get better in any conversation is the message. So another reminder to speak truth with other people. And even if it's not uncomfortable, I want to clarify this a little bit. Even if you're not sure if you should be speaking about something that is the truth, like maybe speak about something that leads towards that direction. That might be something that's helpful for you in certain situations if it makes sense. And if you're not sure, it's okay to hold off is something I'd say, but if something clicked in your head and you're like, oh, I should tell the truth about that, like maybe potentially consider doing that. Next message here, I think I kind of butchered that last message, so I apologize, but truth is just very important right now, like speaking truth and doing your best not to hold back from that for the highest good. And I think especially if you feel a nudge, like from spirit, from your inner, whatever, intuition, inner guidance, whatever you work with, to speak truth, I would do it. It reminds me of a story one time where this is probably one of the rougher times of my life in general. So let's keep that energy out of it, but let's extract the wisdom and help with that. There was one time I was kind of sat down with a manager at a job I had, and it was not a good fit is the kind way I'll put it. This manager was not helping me out. It seemed like they were kind of gunning for me a little bit, honestly. And we kind of sat down and they kind of asked like how certain things were in my experience with the department, with other coworkers. And there was a few things I could talk to, and before I really had the chance to think about it even, or like not say it, my guides were just like, I just heard my guides like, be honest. And so I was like, okay. So I kind of had to really uncomfortably talk about like some of the experience I had with other coworkers that like, I don't like throwing people under the bus, but it wasn't really throwing people under the bus. It was what happened. So it was kind of like, saying certain things like that. And sometimes it's really uncomfortable when you feel like you're, in that position, but it's usually worth it. And it did end up sort of working. I don't know if it worked again. It didn't work against me. I feel like it helped me out in that situation, but that's just something to keep in mind, I guess, as a story that relates to that. Next message here, abundance. One message for you guys is like, when abundance comes your way, give thanks for it and use it wisely and like honor that abundance. There is going to be more on the way, but it will be helpful to make sure you are spending excess wisely or investing it rather than being frivolous. So they just said lasting impact if you hold on to your money instead of spending it all the time right away. Trust that. So if you get an increase to your abundance, which most of you will. I feel like all of you will to some degree. Don't be frivolous with it is the recommendation for you guys. Like use it, like save and invest would be an example of how you could use it wisely, or put it towards something you really want to do that's important to you, or save it for like something that's just wise. And you can spend some of it. I mean, yeah, do what feels right to you in the moment as well. But it's just a recommendation to potentially consider holding on to that extra money or extra abundance, and just don't be frivolous with the abundance you're given. There might be, sometimes there's a reason you're given these things, if that makes sense. It's just important you're making the most of it, is what I'd say. For some reason, they're giving this weird example. Should I use this example or a different one? What would be the highest and best example for me to use for this? They're showing me this like example of like a village. It's really interesting because it's almost more tribal. It's like back in the day. It's like maybe right when like farming was becoming a thing. I don't know. And it's like maybe the universe gives this village like a ton of wood. And maybe previously this village would have just used it as firewood and burned it all. Or they would have had wood parties and carved a bunch of statues or something. It's just an example. Don't take it too seriously except for what the message is. But maybe what would be good for them to do is like start to build, buildings and structures, and then start to like build farms with this abundance of like wood they were given by the universe, and like build something with it. And then they have so much more abundance going forward because of how they utilize the abundance that was given to them and honoring it, instead of being frivolous with it. So very strange example, but that's the example I'm being given to you, if that makes more sense. They are showing me a snake next. What is the message with the snakes here? They're showing this example of like, sometimes right before you get to like a success, like snakes like bite at your ankles, or like someone comes out of the woodwork to try and like convince you away from it. I would not listen to the snakes is a weird message I'm getting for you guys. So if you're about to achieve something you wanted to achieve, and then like someone's like, wait, don't take that promotion. I want you to stay small. But maybe that's not, people don't usually exactly say that coming right at you if they're trying to do something like that. It's usually a little bit sneakier. But if you get that sense and you feel like you should take that promotion, like take the promotion anyways. Like don't listen to the snakes. They're giving me that quote like from the Batman movie, The Dark Knight, from like I think it was like 2010, or I don't remember when it came out. It was my favorite movie when I was like 12, so it was probably like 2006 or something. But it was some dude talking about the Joker, and he was like, some men just like to watch the world burn. Likewise, some people just like to metaphorically watch people burn, but not in a good way. And I don't mean literally either. I'm so sorry. Don't go visual on that. They just like, maybe they just don't like other people succeeding. I don't feel like it's super common. I don't know if you need to like super freak out about this message. It's just something to be aware of. Like if you're about to succeed on something or make a certain move, and some random thing comes out of the woodwork to like try to convince you not to, but you get a weird feeling about it, or it doesn't feel right, just go for what you want to, go towards what you want to go towards is what I'd say. And I feel like if there are any snakes snapping at your heels metaphorically as you go to succeed, you're going to be fine as well. Just ignore it is what I'd say, and you're going to be totally fine. So weird message. The second message with snake, they are showing me the concept of a snake shedding its skin and rebirthing. Completely separate message. The message I'm getting is like you've already been... One of the messages I'm hearing is you've already been through that, so don't hold yourself back from success because you think you're not ready. I don't feel like that was the perfect message because they're kind of telling me they want me to say something else as well. So what's the other thing that's the message here? The other message is like if you're afraid of you being the snake, you're not the snake. I don't know who needs to hear that if you were worried about that, but you're not the snake in this scenario. So keep that in mind as well. And maybe some of you will rebirth in the near future is something I'm getting, but I feel like you've also gone through enough to, if you're on this like precipice, you've gone through enough to succeed, if that makes sense. But they want me to end the reading for the water signs. I hope that flowed out right and made sense to you and was helpful. For this reading, any other message? Nope. Okay. When if I go to ask if there's any other messages and they physically channel my body moving to take the sign down, I think that's a let's end there. So I hope this has been good for you guys so far and helpful. Hey, it's Destiny. How you doing, Destiny? Hope you're doing great in the world. So they're saying I need to channel. They already kind of gave me a theme. When I was in the bathroom, when my bathroom break, they gave me a theme for the channel message. So those of you not familiar, I feel like most of you are, I do these full channel mode messages typically at the end of these lives. Excuse me. Where my fully for that's good, my spirit guides, the angels and source speak through me directly to deliver a message. There's multiple aspects to it. There's the information that comes through. There's the energetic transmission from source that it can do healing. It can do it for the highest good, only energy work, whether it's about the topic or just something else it needs to do. It's high vibrational. It can also open your third eye. It can open up channeling in yourself if you're meant to do it, or things I've heard other channelers talk about and things I've directly experienced with it as well. Okay, they want me to stop talking and start. So I am going to jump into it. I'm doing so good. Are you doing okay? Yeah, I've been sick all week and I'm starting to feel better. My throat's still feeling a little dry, but it might just be because I need to drink water. Okay. They want me to jump into this. They don't want me to delay. They seem pretty, so fully flask, good. And they want me to give myself 2 seconds, drink a little bit of coffee. So they just want me to give myself just a couple minutes for whatever reason. I was going to delve in, and then they said, take a quick second. So I'm going to drink more water, and maybe I just need to collect myself. Did I miss your mini messages this week? I've been sick all week. I have not been posting this week, except maybe like a post on Instagram and one post on TikTok that I don't think was the right format because it was like a pick a reading and it was like a quick 10-second thing. So you didn't miss anything this week. Been sick myself. I hear the word upgrade as well. So my favorite color, I feel like it fluctuates. Right now they're telling me my favorite. I like to do things intuitively. So sometimes when people ask what my favorite color is, I like to just, what is the favorite color that I'm getting as my favorite color? I'm getting rainbow right now. And the other thing I think it's funny how they like, sometimes they'll give me messages, but it's like, it's almost like the message is directed at you. Because what they said is like, he likes specific hues and like, you know, almost all colors. It was like the way they phrase it. Like they'll be like, he likes this. Like when I'm talking to someone and like, oh, I guess I'll deliver that message in third person because it is sort of, but it's not, but it, so I like when they do that. But the other thing I've noticed is like traditionally I like certain like hues or like shades of color in like all the colors, like deep gemstone colors I used to really love across all the colors, like deep sapphire blue, but I also love like deep amethyst purple and deep ruby red and deep, you know, green emerald or things like that. So that's what I'd say on that one. Okay, I suppose it's channel time, so, but they're giving me one quick message. I just need to take 1 second and make sure we're good to do this here. Okay. We're going to jump in and I'm good. The themes that they're giving me for the channel are, they were giving me this theme of like a fire. They are also showing me like this moth as well. And I feel like it's a message that's kind of about like death, but I don't think it's about death to people. I feel like I've kind of brought through messages like that a bit recently, but we'll see what they actually want to say this time. There's also a message of hope, and they might take it in a completely different direction. So I am going to step out of the way and give me like 30 seconds or however long, and I'll probably cough, and then they'll laugh and start speaking through me or whatever they do. welcome to this channel today. And this one is about a fire, though it's a fire in you. We would give you the term soul fire, even though that might be a new term for many of you. And it's about your soul being on fire in a good way and burning through the human aspects that need to transform at this time. And these eclipses upcoming, if you are watching this before them, and you might recognize this pattern if you watch this channel after this live is facilitated, is this fiery transformation energy from the soul through the human to align you more with your soul, with source, and with your purpose. And this leads to rapid transformation and major shifts and transition, for there is fire roaring through the collective in multiple facets and aspects. There is not necessarily a literal fire, as you might surmise, though sometimes metaphorically there are signs and symbolisms that occur in nature to represent the fire that is rolling through the collective, such as a wildfire or a building of certain importance and symbolism burning down and being transformed into something new would be another example we could provide you of these signs and synchronicities that have to do with this metaphorical fire rolling through the collective. But you will see it and you will feel it in your bones, you will feel it under your skin, and not a fire that burns in a negative sense where it is painful, and certainly not any sort of hell fire. That is an entirely different conversation about heaven and hell that we don't need to get into for this crowd. For most of you have it dialed in on what is true for you regarding those topics, and we don't need to be unearthing old trauma and religious trauma in this discussion right now. It's a transformative fire of your soul that redoes some of the wiring of the human so you can go in a different direction or a refined direction for you. And you could see your direction in life as constantly refining. You're never going in the wrong way per se, but you are refining your path through your choices, through how you're guided. So sometimes you think you are on the wrong path earlier in life, and then something kicks in to get you on the right path. But would you have taken the right path if you hadn't been on that wrong path ahead of time? Would you have had the right lessons? Would you have had the right things occur to get you on the right path at the right timing? We would argue perhaps not, which is why it's important not to judge your past as being wrong or your current path as being wrong. And sometimes that message is brought through to help you be on the proper path and timeline for you when people use that word wrong, like being on the wrong path per se. In truth, there is no wrong path. Sometimes we or others might use that as a message to help you stay on a certain timeline or move in a certain direction, but you're making the choices you're making for a reason. And that's why we give you this concept, this word refinement of your path. For that is what this fire is about, as well as this refinement to who you are and your path. And you are constantly refining. If you are on your growth trajectory, if you're moving through life, you are gaining the experiences through your choices, through the feedback the universe provides you through the choices you're making, and refining yourself and what you're doing and what you're here for, if that makes sense. So this is a major refinement period where perhaps sometimes that refinement is slow and you need to focus on other things. Sometimes you're focused on just one particular lesson or a select few major lessons or themes that have to do with the mental realms or the emotional realms, healing heartbreak, etc. This is going to be a vast fire that rolls through all of it. And it's not going to slow down following the eclipses much either, is something we would say. But rather through the end of the year, through early next year, you're going to feel a lot of fire metaphorically rolling through your life and the lives of others. And your job is to stay centered, stay balanced, let it roll through, let yourself release and become someone new. And quit resisting, if you can, the change that wants to roll through you. Because you birthing change in your life, whether it's simple and small and watching a different show on TV or doing something else with your time, maybe it's even just as simple as going for more walks as opposed to sitting around eating potato chips, is the example we like to use sometimes. But these simple changes begin to, of course, as above, so below, birth change around you. It changes your energy fields, and your energy fields begin to have a different impact on the people around you. And as above, so below, you're equally just manifesting more change for the collective as well. So let this change birth through you as easily as you can, as much as you can allow it to, and you'll be changing everything around you in time. Notice we do not say right away, but in time. For there is a timing to all of this as well, as we will often say. Divine timing is so key. You cannot rush a pregnancy, is an example we could use for human or any other animal, or perhaps even certain plants. You cannot rush the baby to be born 5 months early and expect everything to go according to plan. Sometimes there's a gestation period. Sometimes there's a divine timing to everything working out. So that is why patience can be so critical to the humanity and the human collective as change is rolling through, when things are a little bit uncomfortable, when anything is going on, because that can be the key to unlocking the divine timing. And those of you who have learned not to force things have likely learned that the hard way multiple times before you realize, I do not need to force anything in my life. However, if I let things develop and take the steps as I am guided and go with the flow in the right amounts, things are actually going to improve for me rather than be such a struggle because I'm forcing everything to be a fight that I have to force into place. Life is meant to fall into place easily if you will allow it, and the key being if you will allow it. And not every time is meant to be easy for the human. There can be challenges that are meant to be part of your growth trajectories. There can be certain things you are meant to go through as struggles. If you are struggling, again, we go back to the earlier message, you are not wrong. It is simply part of the path for now that is helping you to refine for the future. Your struggles are birthing you into a new you. That being said, we love to open the possibility of ease and grace for the collective, for people, for those of you tuning in. So if you will allow more ease and release the struggle and release the need to fight and force things. And we know fighting is a theme in this human collective, whether it's war or it's on TV or it's superhero movies, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just something that the collective needs to see or look at or examine right now in order for things to shift. And that is another theme we wish to talk about this time period, is all these things bubbling up to the surface. They are often things you are releasing so that the gold that is underneath them can be unveiled, whether it is something like war that's bubbling up to the surface to be looked at, or something like fight or struggle. There is gold beneath these lower frequencies that you are being forced to look at in some of your instances. Some of these struggles you're being forced to look at in these instances. So you are actually allowing these things to release in some ways. That's another thing this fire we want to talk about that's rolling through is doing, is burning away that war frequency, that fight frequency, that struggle frequency for some of you, though some of you will still need struggle in the future to teach you. Perhaps that's a soul lesson you might have signed up for some of you. But if you will allow things to be easy, it can be. And we will talk about it once more. Getting in tune with Source, with your spirit guides, with your soul, whatever works best for you, is one way to begin to allow ease. And Brandon will tell you, you can be very connected and struggling to all heck, as some of his past experiences might attest. And we will not get too far into that. That's his story to tell. But some of you might find you are getting connected and still going through things. It's just part of your birthing process into the new you as you hone in that connection and prepare to birth ease. And sometimes the struggle is there just to teach you to allow ease instead of forcing struggle. But we will not go on and on about struggle right now. Another message we wish to get to you. If you are facing something you are afraid of doing, that you know you need to do or would like to do, it's time to do it. This is a ripe time to do what you are afraid to do, that you are called to do, if that makes sense. This is a ripe time to face the fear. That will allow that fire to flow through you, all the more, that soul fire. If you are facing the fears that are arising as you go to move forward, as you go to change things, as change shows up. And facing that fear, of course, leads to bravery, and it can teach you that Source is on your side in the long term. Some of you have or go through things that are as you might call them horrendous, and you will want nothing to do with spirit for a long time, whether it's the death of a loved one or something traumatic. And we understand. We encourage you to follow your path wherever it leads that you need to go through for your experiences. At the same time, facing your fears at this time, moving towards what you want, moving towards your transformation, allowing things to shift and change, is going to birth you more bravery and even more ease on the other side of it. It's going to allow that transformation to transpire more easily, more readily. It's going to further your growth. And that is why one of the themes for the readings before is this calling to growth, this being asked to grow or being stretched, facing your fears, as trite as it might sound to some of you. And that is what will lead to transformation for many at this time, in addition to what we've already been talking about. Because on the other side of fear is the truth of a circumstance, the truth of what is actually there. And that can go both ways. It might be something you are afraid of happening, and it happens, and it was not so bad. Or maybe it's painful, but you realize it's okay. You realize you can handle it. And you're more apt to face that fear in the future. Likewise, it could be something you're afraid of doing, chasing a dream, something like that. And you do it and you succeed. And maybe you do have to face that fear a few more times, but as you keep doing so, you realize there's nothing to be afraid of. So it can happen multiple ways, but that is what facing this fear will do. The transformation, more ease down the line in a sense for some of you, at least in being brave. That is the message we wish to speak to you about, for the most part, for this channel. That fire energy. Because you're going to be seeing it play out in multiple ways, multiple themes, transforming you, transforming the lives of others, transforming the world. And we urge you to embrace the fire of your soul, the fire of your soul's calling, even the fire of where you are headed for some. That is what will birth you into the new. So take care, and we are leaving you with that. And there's more we could get to. But for now, embrace your fire. The more you are embracing transformation and running with it, the better things will be. And you do not need to overdo it. You do not need to quit your job on a whim and move out of your parents' house and live out in the jungle and do all this crazy stuff. But embrace the change as it comes. And that will lead to victory. We will leave you there. Take care. Embrace the fire. And this has been a channeled transmission, spurring transformation and bringing more, only for the highest good, fire energy into your lives. Once you can harness that fire like a steam locomotive and move forward, too, so that you can burn away the blocks to your transformation that may have been causing resistance or that have been forcing you to resist certain changes. And 3, simply so that you can transform and know what that energy tastes like, so you embrace it in the future. If you experience an energy of fire with this channeled transmission and you got that taste of that energy and you feel it in the future in a certain situation, you will know what's going on and you can move towards it rather than fight against it, when really you should be going with this fiery transformation rather than against it. That is all. We are signing out for now. We are wishing you the best. Take care for now. And have a beautiful rest of your week and time on Earth. Farewell for now. Sayonara. Ooh, and 111 people here when I ended. That's cool. I hope that was good, guys. I hope that was helpful. You know, 1 second to come, I don't know if come down is the right word, but come down. Thanks for the hand hearts, Rising Beautiful. Brandon, I didn't get what you were saying about moths. Yeah, I guess they didn't talk about moths, did they? what they're kind of clarifying now is like it was kind of baked in about the fire transformation. Maybe they won't do. Should I do another channel mode about that, or what should I do? They just want me to try and clarify it now. It's about death through transformation and kind of putting to death the old is kind of what I'm getting. But that fiery transformation is going to lead to death is kind of the way they're clarifying it as well a bit more. It's not something to freak out about, but that also speaks to that fear energy around transformation and like knowing certain things might have to die for you to have what you want. For example, in this, you don't all have to do this. This doesn't mean every single one of you has to do this. But an example for some people would be leaving a relationship to pursue your dreams because it's really holding you back, or, you know, something like you have to put something to death to have something. But I feel like that fire is going to lead to not literal death, but deaths like that. So they want you to embrace that and not be afraid of that. So they kind of spoke to the message without saying it. So hope that made sense. Amazing message, very resonant with you. Awesome, glad to hear it, Ruda. I've had a moth manifestation. Oh, infestation. I think it's a sign for you. That very well is probably the case. The moth was brown. Was the color it was. It wasn't like a cool lunar moth or anything like that. It's been a sign that's come through for certain readings recently, like at least one, but there's like, it reminds me of the skull moth a little bit too. They wanted me to mention that. So, okay. So, but I hope besides that was good for you guys. That made sense. That was a good channel. I also, so I guess leaving out there, would it be for that script for me to do music at the end of this live? So sometimes I do like just energy work infused music at the end of the lives. They want me to hold off for this one, but I might start doing either separate lives with that or something with that soon. Lexi chose, I wonder how many of these changes are material and relational versus energetic and inward. Probably both. I do get both for sure. And for some of you, the balance might be a bit different. For some of you, the balance is like material. For some of you, the balance is energetic. And of course, for both of you, it's both. But a lot of times, like one can follow the other, but especially material following energetic shifts. So keep that in mind. More lives, I will definitely keep it in mind. I think that would be good. You're so welcome, Andy Pandy Pie. You're so welcome for me doing this today. I became an aunt today. Congrats, that's awesome. I hope that your niece or nephew has a beautiful, beautiful life ahead of them. Leo, can you tell me if I will use or forget about the Reiki trading, considering the $200 investment? I do get you'll use it. It's definitely okay if you hold off of it, though. You don't have to take it, is the other thing. There might be other things you resonate more with in the future, is something I'm hearing as well. So I would sit with it and see like what feels light to you between the two. Like when you sit with taking the course, does it feel light? Does it feel good? Does it feel lighter to hold off? You know, if you kind of sit with both energetically and see what you kind of come to as well. Maybe journal on it and see what happens too. Google said the brown moth is a common symbol of rebirth and renewal. I would say fire is also a common symbol of transformation, rebirth, and renewal. So that makes sense. I think that's a perfect analogy. Nephew, thank you. I do as well. I'll talk about transformation. Yeah, you're welcome. I'd love to hear your music. I'll definitely do it on another live for sure. And maybe yeah, I really want to do an album. They won't want me to talk about that right now, so I won't. So I guess I'll do just a touch of, I want to hang out for just a second, and then if they want me to do self-promotion, I'll do a little bit of self-promotion. You're welcome, Leo. Everything they said is what I'm going through right now. New me. Thank you. You're so welcome. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it resonated. So just some quick things going on for me. Of course, I'm going to keep doing these lives every Sunday. I want to add more lives potentially, whether with energy healing, like direct energy healing, or with music or something. So we'll see what I end up doing. I'm going to keep doing these, of course. I also just launched a membership program through my websites. Of course, no one's ever obligated to sign up for that, but pretty much what that is it's similar to Patreon, but it's through my website, so it's not Patreon, but there's a support tier with the membership and the forum, with the members forum. There's another level that has weekly readings and a monthly channel, kind of like what I just did, except it's like longer. It's like at least 30 minutes. And I also have a gold level that has all those, and then also has channel guided meditations I'll be doing monthly, and then there's discounts for readings and classes through those, and through the merch store I just launched, which is the Vallejo store at vallejo.com. So that's the news. I officially launched those things. It was kind of a soft launch, I guess, but they're available. So if anyone feels called to it, awesome. If not, no worries. Of course, I'm going to be showing up here on social media, so there'll still be as much of everything I'm doing already for all you guys. So, but yeah, that's it on the self-promotion fronts. I was sick this past week, so I have if any of you are tuning in that had a reading booked with me, I'm getting to you today. I'll be emailing you guys and texting you guys to get that set up for the next couple weeks, and then my scheduler has been closed for new readings while I've been sick, but I'm probably going to open that up again soon here in the next week or so, maybe today even, just to open up for readings. And then the last thing I have going on is Reiki 1 is next week, October 22nd. So if you're called to that or to learn energy work with me, awesome. There's payment plans available. If not, no sweat at all. And then the last thing, so sorry guys, I just have like a list, is there's a new modality I'm bringing through. It's the 4 angelic fires and energy tools. The first class, I've had really good feedback. There's a class for that coming up early November. It's normally, I think was going to be like $200 a class, but until I have more feedback and more classes going, I've had 2 groups so far who really loved it. It's going to be $100 per person instead of like $200. So I'm just keeping the prices low for now as I just get it off the ground, if that makes sense, get it into the world. So want to get more feedback. I know how to communicate it better, and et cetera. So if you feel drawn to that, you can message me for more questions, or you can sign up there. That's on my scheduler as well. Do you do group classes to help those who are in tune with energy to sharpen their skills? I have plans for certain things, but I'm not ready to talk about all that yet for that. But potentially, East Coast girl is my answer to that. So, I've been reading and loving The Energy Speaks by Lee Harris that you recommended. Awesome. That is a great book. If anyone else feels drawn to it, I really like Lee Harris's channeling. He's been one of the few channelers I've listened to in my journey, honestly, that I felt has resonated for me. So, but that is a great book. So I'm glad you're liking it, Leo. That's awesome. Okay, so thanks for, hopefully anyone who feels drawn to what I just talked about, you feel drawn to it, and if not, no worries at all. I'll still be showing up here, and I think you're a good channel. Please find out what is happening. Oh, what's happening? I don't know what's going on that's happening, but thank you, Kayla. I appreciate that. I'm gonna hang out for one more second here with you guys. If you have any questions about anything, probably not personal readings as much, and then we'll close the live. You're welcome, Rock and Robin. Also, one last shout out to the moderators. You're welcome, Sanja. You're so welcome, and thank you so much. It's good to see you too, Rock and Robin. So shout out to Rock and Robin, to Destiny. I saw Destiny here. Any other moderators that showed up that I didn't see when I was doing the readings, just thank you so much for helping this process flow and helping keep this a good experience for everyone. And I'm looking forward. Leifa J, thanks, Brandon. Looking forward to Reiki 1 next week. Me too. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Excuse me. It'll be good. Okay. Excuse me. All right, so I'm going to be signing out of this live. I just want to say I love you guys. I appreciate it. It means a lot to get to do this. I'm so appreciative that you guys get good things from this, and that, I get to do this. So thank you so much, and you guys rock. I am wishing you whatever would be for the highest good for you. Are you in Sedona? No. I'd love to get to Arizona. I'm not. I think Sedona looks really interesting. I've wanted to go, but I haven't had the chance yet. I appreciate you guys. You guys take care, and I will see you next week. You have a great week, okay?